Chen Xiang had gained quite a lot from the start, so he wanted Chen Xiang to be responsible for purchasing items in the future. Chen Xiang had gained quite a lot from the start, so he wanted Chen Xiang to be responsible for purchasing items in the future. Brat, how about you go and buy the divine medicine in the future? No matter what, you don't need to go there every day. Normally, you would go there once every month or two. You won't even need that much time. Luo Tianjun chuckled. If you can purchase good things, you'll get plenty of benefits. Of course, Chen Xiang was very willing, because the divine medicine that he had bought, by copying it on the way, would be equivalent to his. He didn't even need to use his own Xin Yuan stone, which was very cost-effective. No problem. Chen Xiang immediately agreed, and said, Hall Master, I want to refine some divine pellets. Do you have any methods that are suitable for me? Chen Xiang had the divine pill formulas, and Feng Yujie had Pa's. Said them down to him, but he didn't have the divine medicines for the divine formulas. Even if he had them, he didn't want to refine them in this supreme divine palace, so he was worried that the old divine pills G.O.D.S. here would see through him. Using the supreme divine palace's divine medicinal formula was good for a lot of things, but there would definitely be divine medicines. As long as Chen Xiang could obtain the divine medicines and the divine formulas, he was confident that he would be able to refine the divine pills. When Luo Tianjun asked about the divine pill formulas, Luo Tianjun was troubled. Brat, although I think highly of you, but you may not know the rules of the Supreme Divine Palace regarding the divine pill formulas. Although I have the pill formulas and even created my own divine pill formulas, I cannot pass them down to you. Indeed, Chen Xiang did not know that the Supreme Divine Palace had also controlled this area so strictly. Luo Tianjun was a very powerful pill god, and he had even grasped a few divine pill formulas, but the majority of them came from the Supreme Divine Palace. So what? Chen Xiang was already able to refine Shangpin Holy Danas. He was going to start refining a divine pellet. He urgently needed to refine it easier, and he also needed to refine a divine pellet that had enough divine medicines. Luo Tianjun laughed. Don't worry, even though I can't directly pass you the divine pills formula, I can give you the Shangpin Holy Dan's formula. Chen Xiang felt that the Shangpin Holy Dan was useless to him, and he did not really need it. Just as he was about to reject, Luo Tianjun laughed again. I gave you the Shangpin Holy Dan's pill formula so that you could obtain the divine pill formula. Don't be impatient to reject me. Chen Xiang's eyes lit up as he sat down. From what Luo Tianjun had said just now, he had a very high chance of obtaining the divine pill formula. There is a Dan Heart Pavilion in Supreme Divine Palace. You only need to go there once to pass the examination, and you will get the chance to enter the Dan Heart Pavilion once to search for the divine pill formula. Luo Tianjun said, but you can only take one type of divine pills formula when you enter, and that will depend on your luck, whether or not you can get the more common divine medicines formulas. Chen Xiang nodded. He was rather interested in that test. Luo Tianjun said, that examination should be very easy for you, as long as you can refine the Shangpin Holy Dan he specified, and I can give you the pill formula for that kind of Shangpin Holy Dan. Actually, this rule is to prevent alchemists from refining more divine pills. This is because the method to obtain a pill formula depends on luck, and there are many divine pill formulas inside. Although there are some duplicates, it is very rare to get the same pill formula. This way, many outstanding alchemists will have different pill formulas. Was secretly excited. He then asked, after I pass the examination, I can only get one pill formula. Then, what about the second method? Then you have to give Dan Heart Pavilion some benefits. When the time comes, he will specify how many divine pellets you refine or ask you to do one thing for him. That way, he will give you another chance. Luo Tianjun laughed. You have just joined our Dan Hall, Don't be in such a rush to think about those things. First, you have to obtain the Xiaoping Dan's pill formula and successfully refine it. Chen Xiang understood and asked again, "What if I want the divine medicine? Couldn't be that I went out to look for it myself, right?" Luo Tianjun pressed his finger against the center of Chen Xiang's brows. "You will know after passing the examination. I will first give you the concentrated Shangpin Holy Dan's medicinal formula. You can refine it yourself. When you have said the examination, you will naturally know how to find the divine medicine within the divine medicine formula, and you will have to rely on yourself to do this step by step." Chen Xiang had obtained a few of the Shangpin Holy Dan's pill formulas, and Luo Tianjun had also given him some high-grade holy medicines, which were all not very valuable, as Luo Tianjun had quite a few of them himself. "You should refine it yourself. Your pill refining methods are very different from mine, so I can't teach you how to use my hand." Luo Tianjun warned again, "Don't tell anyone else about the spirit lotus yet, just wait until I grow more of it." Chen Xiang smiled and nodded, then happily returned to his room. Inside his room, there was a staircase leading to the underground. Underground, there was a very quiet secret room. This was the training room. After Chen Xiang entered the room and closed the door, he took out the G.O.D. slaying lotus that he had copied out first, and carefully looked at it for a while before putting it away. If he wanted to copy it, he could very quickly create a large pile of it. There are a total of 4 saint pills. Each of them is made up of 3 high-rank saint medicines and 2 mid-rank saint medicines. The difficulty is not high at all. Chen Xiang could even figure out the pill formula by himself, but in his eyes, the purple profound Dan was far more difficult to obtain than these holy pellet. He immediately started refining using the original source refining. In just a night's time, he had successfully refined these 4 Shangpin Holy Dan, and each furnace could refine 3 or 4 pills. Of course, if he was to go for the assessment, he only needed to fulfill the requirements. The second day, Chen Xiang came out of the training room and actually saw Yi Bidong. This elder of the Supreme Divine Palace had not come to this place after taking Huang Jintian away. "Elder," Chen Xiang greeted him. He did not expect Yi Bidong to appear in his room. Yi Bidong nodded, as his expression turned serious. "Your master has already left the Supreme Divine Palace." When he learned that the Supreme Divine Palace is in the Divine Realm, he couldn't help but want to go out and take a walk. Chen Xiang didn't feel anything. Huang Jintian was just like that. It would be weird if he would obediently stay in the Supreme Divine Palace. "Chen Xiang, I need to leave for a while." "I don't want to leave either, but there seems to be a force pulling me away," Yi Bidong said in a deep voice. "During the time that I'm away, you must be careful because a divine nations is urgently calling for me. I want to make a trip to that divine nations." Chen Xiang frowned and nodded his head. It was impossible for those divine nations to not know about his summoning, and now that he had come out and even came to the Supreme Divine Palace, they would definitely ask Yi Bidong about it. "Don't worry, if those divine nations really want to make a move on you, I will do everything I can to protect you and bring you out of the Supreme Divine Palace." Yi Bidong patted Chen Xiang's shoulder as he left with a heavy heart. Although Yi Bidong was an elder of the Supreme Divine Palace, if the pressure those divine nations gave him was too much, he wouldn't be able to take it either. At that time, he would also be in danger, so he had to prepare to escape the Supreme Divine Palace. He had to find a way out for himself. Although Yi Bidong was an elder of the Supreme Divine Palace, if the pressure those divine nations gave him was too much, he wouldn't be able to take it either. At that time, he would also be in danger, so he had to prepare to escape the Supreme Divine Palace. He had to find a way out for himself. Not long after Yi Bidong left, Luo Tianjun returned. He did not know that Yi Bidong had come to visit, and after seeing Chen Xiang, he laughed out loud. "Brat, how's your training going? When do you expect to be able to take the examination?" When Chen Xiang saw Luo Tianjun, his face broke into a smile. In another 2 days, it should be fine. Actually, Chen Xiang could go today. It was just that he did not want Luo Tianjun to be too shocked, but Luo Tianjun was still shocked. You learned how to refine a kind of Shangpin Holy Dan in one night. Luo Tianjun was also known as a prodigy in pill refining in the past, but it took him around 10 days to learn this technique. Furthermore, the holy pellets he refined were also rather poor. Chen Xiang smiled and nodded, then followed Luo Tianjun to the living room in the small courtyard. Hall Master, is the sovereign G O D realm connected to other places? Chen Xiang asked. When I went to purchase the divine medicine, I heard that 6 realms divine palace and beast divine palace were also in this SPAC. Luo Tianjun poured Chen Xiang a cup of very fragrant wine and said, "You have just arrived in Supreme Divine Palace, so of course you don't know about this sort of thing. Even though it's all connected, it's still not easy to go over, and you need to get permission from either the 6 Realms Divine Palace or the Beast Divine Palace to do so. Our place is called Super God Realm. Other than the 3 shrines, there are also several sects of various sizes. They are all quite strong. If you have the chance in the future, you can go visit those places." Chen Xiang did not ask about anything else, in order to avoid being suspected by others. Now that he already knew that this place was not controlled by the Supreme Divine Palace, if the worst-case scenario occurred, he would have a place to run to. "Brat, you better hurry up and refine the divine pellet because the Dan Hall's compet. 1. Tie-in is going to start soon. These few days, they have been discussing the alchemy skills, which is also what those 3 guys are arguing about." Luo Tianjun laughed. "They are still arguing after that, it's time for them to compete with each other." Chen Xiang said, "Hall Master, didn't you want me to compete in the Shangpin Holy Dan last time?" Luo Tianjun took a sip of the fragrant wine and laughed. "Originally, but I can see that you are about to reach the realm of the pill God, so when the time comes, I will arrange for you to go to the Shopping Dan's compet. 1. Tie-in grounds so that you will receive more rewards." Chen Xiang was extremely interested in this compet. 1. Tie-in and nodded his head. "When the time comes, I will definitely go." "Oh right, Hall Master, do you have any younger, more talented alchemists among all these?" Luo Tianjun said, "Of course there is. To tell you the truth, the Supreme Divine Palace is also a place where the Divine Nations selects the best seedlings, and within the Dan Hall, there are a few young people that are highly regarded. I have to admit that these brats are too heaven-defying. At such a young age, they already possess such a cultivation, and all of them are able to refine Zhongpin Dan's. Those youngsters that Chen Xiang met during the trial were all real youngsters and were not old monsters like Chen Xiang, who had lived for many years. And the young people that Luo Tianjun referred to should also be real youngsters. Amazing, he can refine Zhongpin Dan. Chen Xiang sighed. I probably won't meet them during the compet. 1 Tian. They're all at the level of refining Zhongpin Dan. Luo Tianjun chuckled. This is hard to say, although those few brats can refine Zhongpin Dan's, in the eyes of many old fellows, they are still too young. If they were to go to the Zhongpin Dan's compet. 1. Tie-in grounds, they would definitely be oppressed to death, so it is very possible that they would go to the Shopping Dan's compet. 1. Tie-in grounds, and from there intentionally not obtaining the qualifications to become a God, it can be seen that if they could refine Zhongpin Dan, they would be able to receive a mid-rank pill God's badge and their treatment would be a little higher. However, they didn't do that, obviously wanting to get a good ranking in the lower-ranked pill God's compet. 1. Tie-in before going up. Chen Xiang asked. So that means the ranking for this compet. 1. Tie-in is very important to them. How often does this kind of compet? 1. Tie-in occur? Once every 100 years. For them, it is very important. Once they obtain the top 3, they will be invited to the Divine Nations' imperial palace, where they will be able to eat with the princes and daughters of the Divine Nations. If they are lucky and are chosen, they will be able to soar in the sky and become related to the imperial family. To have the chance to go to the Divine Nations, Chun Xiang was palpitating with excitement. Only the Dan Hall has such a chance. Of course not, there are Boxing Hall S, Sword Hall S and Soul Hall S. When the time comes, they will also have compet. 1 Tians. Luo Tianjun said, the Divine Nations that we are going to meet with are also different. Boxing Hall and Sword Hall are both secretly supported by one Divine Nations, while Soul Hall and Dan Hall are supported by the other 2. Chun Xiang never thought that the Dan Hall he was in was actually so unsafe. Although they are supported by the Divine Nations, these Divine Nations south do not place much importance on this place. Our pill formulas and the like are all considered inferior by them. Luo Tianjun sighed. If we want to have a better development, then we can only go to those Divine Nations s. Divine Nations' power is very scary. Of course Chun Xiang knew. If it wasn't terrifying, would he be able to control the Supreme Divine Palace? After chatting with Luo Tianjun for a while, Chun Xiang ran back to the secret room with the excuse that he wanted to concoct pills. A few days had passed, said, and 3 Gu brothers had already returned. When Chun Xiang came out of the secret room, he heard their ruckus. They were not arguing, but it was as if they were cursing the alchemist of other Dan Hall. Junior brother, I heard that you managed to buy a divine soul and blood flower. Not bad. Seeing Chun Xiang walking over, oldest Gu also anxiously walked over and patted Chun Xiang's shoulders. When the divine soul and blood flower comes out, you have to get the hall master to look after us. Chun Xiang smiled and nodded. Definitely, my fellow disciples. How are you doing discussing it with the other Dan Hall s? All of them went to fart. Why the H.E.L. would they go to those idiots to discuss about pill refining? Old Gu and Old Third looked a little displeased. The 3 brothers were unhappy about what had happened a few days ago, and it was obvious that they had suffered a great deal. Luo Tianjun walked over, pushed aside the 3 brothers, and gave Chun Xiang a jade plate. This is our 10th hall's ident. 1. Tai plate, don't lose it. You can go to Dan Hart Pavilion to take the A.S. assessment now. Chun Xiang received it, took a glance at it, and then put it away. He then said to 3 Gu brothers and Luo Tianjun, then I'll be leaving first. Pilji, O.D.A.S. assessment, you're so amazing, I wish you good luck. I wish you good pill formulas. The A.S. assessment is successful. The 3 brothers encouraged Chun Xiang. The number of Dan Hall S they had was relatively fewer, so adding a young pill G.O.D. would allow their overall strength to increase. After Chun Xiang finished thanking them, he quickly walked out of the courtyard and headed towards the Dan Hart Pavilion. The Dan Hart Pavilion was only at the 5th floor and it was very small. It was not as grand as the shrines he saw in the Gods realm, so it was insignificant in comparison. The Dan Hart Pavilion was only at the 5th floor and it was very small. It was not as grand as the shrines he saw in the Gods realm, so it was insignificant in comparison. Chun Xiang entered the door. It was cold and lonely. In the S.P. A. Sias Hall, an old man sat on a table and was currently reading a book. There were the fewest people in the Dan Hall, so it was not surprising that the Dan Hart Pavilion was so quiet. Every year, there were only a few people who joined the Dan Hall, and that was something to be surprised about. The old man only glanced at Chun Xiang before continuing to read the book, and said slowly, "Young man, did you walk in the wrong place, or are you here to deliver something?" Chun Xiang walked to the side of the table and said, "I'm here to take the pill Gods A.S. assessment." Only then did the old man focus his gaze on Chun Xiang, his expression somewhat surprised. "Really, show me the plate." Chun Xiang handed over his plate, and then the old man said, So it's from old Camel's side. I did indeed hear that a disciple came here just now, but you just arrived and are about to undergo the assessment. Are you ready? The Shangpin Holy Dan you want to refine is not an ordinary Shangpin Holy Dan, it's extremely difficult to refine. Chen Xiang had already made sufficient preparations. Those Shangpin Holy Dan were indeed harder to refine than others, but for Chen Xiang, who was using the original source refining, it was not difficult at all. I'm ready. We can start now. Chen Xiang smiled confidently. The old man immediately took out a box. He patted the box and it immediately opened. Inside were 3 red fruits and 2 red flowers. The ultimate flame holy pellet. Take away these ingredients and then go to the secret room over there to refine them. I'll watch from the side. The old man pointed at the secret chamber. Chen Xiang had already told him before when he took these ingredients, that he would extract one of the Shangpin Holy Dan and let him refine it. The ultimate fire God pellet was mainly useful for fire attribute profound gods, as it was a very good sacred pill for fire attribute profound gods. The old man brought Chen Xiang into the secret room and said, "You can only use the specified pill furnace. You have no objections, right?" No objections. Even if he did not have a pill furnace, Chen Xiang would not say anything. The pill furnace in the secret room was not too bad. It was much better than what Chen Xiang had concocted before. The inside of the secret room was relatively bright. After the old man entered, he sat on a chair and continued to read his book. He waved his hand, signaling Chen Xiang to start. Chen Xiang looked at the medicinal ingredients in his hands. After a simple and quick process, he released a flame to preheat the pill furnace and at the same time familiarized himself with the furnace, allowing him to refine the pills more easily. These were all relatively normal steps. After doing all this, Chen Xiang threw all the medicinal ingredients into the furnace. Even though the old man was reading a book, he had been carefully observing every step of Chen Xiang's body. When he saw that Chen Xiang had thrown all of the medicinal ingredients in right from the start, this kind of random stewing method was simply not suitable for concocting a holy pellet. The old man quickly said, "Little guy, although these herbs aren't expensive, don't waste them. If you fail this time, you can only come back after 5 years." Chen Xiang replied, "I won't fail." Chen Xiang was using the original source refining, so he did not need to follow the steps of the medicinal recipe. If he were to do that, he did not know when he would be able to refine the ultimate flame holy pellet. Seeing that Chen Xiang's furnace was very stable and did not move at all, the old man immediately felt that it was strange, because the biggest reaction of this random stewing was to explode the furnace. If one's control was not good, then under the burning of this flame, the furnace would start to shake very quickly. But now this didn't happen. The old man stopped reading and started to carefully examine Chen Xiang's pill furnace. He wanted to see what was going on inside the furnace, but he couldn't understand. The more the old man looked at it, the more he felt that it was strange. Right now, he could already confirm that the pill refining techniques Chen Xiang used were different from the ones he was familiar with. After burning those medicinal herbs to a certain extent, Chen Xiang immediately used his spirit eyes. Seeing the spirit blood of the sacred medicine, his divine power turned into several spirit claws, capturing those spirit blood and then merging them together, allowing all of the spirit blood to fuse together. In this way, these medicine aura that originally rejected each other slowly began to fuse together. To not be too scary, Chen Xiang controlled his speed to a slow degree. Moreover, he had to secretly absorb some medicine aura into his body, if not he would condense a few pellets later. The current Chen Xiang didn't want him to get too much attention, so he tried his best to keep a low profile. Originally, Chen Xiang had been able to quickly refine the extreme fire holy pellet, but he forcefully dragged it out until night before he started to condense the pellet. Although there were many questions in the old man's mind, he did not disturb Chen Xiang. He patiently watched. He had always wanted to see through the pill furnace, to see what kind of strange things actually happened inside, because when the few ingredients to refine the ultimate flame holy pellet were put into the furnace to burn, even a wise pill G.O.D. would not be able to silence the furnace during the fusion. But Chun Xiang did not have that right now, and at this time, it was about time for him to condense a pill, which meant that the stage of fusion had already passed. From the very beginning, Chun Xiang's pill furnace had been calm, and did not shake at all. Now that Chun Xiang had opened the furnace, there was a supreme fire holy pellet inside. Its quality was extremely good, causing the old man to exclaim in admiration. "Just what pill refining technique are you using?" the elder hurriedly asked. "This definitely wasn't taught to you by old Luo." Chun Xiang smiled slightly. "This is called the original source refining. You can't talk about the specifics." Original source refining. Original source refining. The old man looked at the burning pill in his palm, and chewed on it repeatedly as he fell into deep thought. It was as if he could see through Chun Xiang's pill refining skills from just these words alone. "Senior, did I pass the test?" Chun Xiang waited for a moment and asked softly. "Of course I said. The old man came back to reality and anxiously said, his face revealing a smile. He wanted to ask about the original source refining specific refining technique, but this technique was not said down to him. He could not ask about it, it was taboo. The old man brought Chun Xiang to another room, and there were many jade tokens hanging there. The old man said, "These are all Shopping Dan's pill formulas, pick any one yourself, and once you have chosen a drop of blood, you will be able to see the contents." The recipe for the divine pill required a certain amount of luck, because if you didn't pick the right pill, it would be hard to find, or if you didn't use it often, then there was no point in refining it. The old man smiled. "Don't think that you can see through the divine pill recipes inside. These jade plates were made by experts." Chun Xiang had indeed planned for this. He had already secretly unleashed the Chaos Divine Eye. In the beginning, he did not see anything, but as the six realms' power continued to pour into his eyes, he could barely make out a few words on these jade plates, which made him feel extremely happy. Even though he was unable to see the specific pill formulas, he was already very satisfied with the descriptions of the divine pills. At the very least, he wouldn't be able to get his hands on the inferior pill formulas. With just a glance, Chun Xiang could already see the words carved into the jade plate. He was carefully reading the descriptions on each jade plate, and the details of what kind of pills the pill formulas would produce, as well as the effects of the divine pills. With just a glance, Chun Xiang could already see the words carved into the jade plate. He was carefully reading the descriptions on each jade plate, and the details of what kind of pills the pill formulas would produce, as well as the effects of the divine pills. In his eyes, it was a very normal thing. Every time he received a new disciple like him, he would always encounter this kind of situation, because the most important thing was to choose the signboard. Although he could not see anything, but in order to console himself, he had to carefully consider choosing the signboard. But now, Chun Xiang was able to see part of the content. There were many divine pill formulas here, and Chun Xiang had already read through a large portion. He could not help but curse in his heart, as the recipes of many divine pills were all very deceptive. Now he finally understood why Luo Tianjun said that their pill formulas were all those inferior goods that the divine nations did not want. After careful consideration, Chun Xiang finally chose the bone-level Dan pill formula. Although it was a shopping Dan, Chun Xiang felt that it was very useful because this kind of divine pill could cause the spirit inside the bones in the body to condense bones, something that was similar to divine deity, could strengthen the body. To condense bones was not easy, there were no good techniques, and there were no other method. Before the time came, he could only cultivate this using the method of tempering his body in order to try his luck. Later on, there were people who discovered that by consuming some divine medicine, one could condense bones or something like that. Later on, there were people who created bone-level Dan. Chen Xiang didn't know about the existence of bones until he saw the bone-level Dan, the pill knowledge and memories that Feng Yujie Pas said on to him finally came up with something related. Feng Yujie did not have any of these pill formulas either, but to be able to appear here made Chen Xiang feel that it was a little unexpected, because most of the other pill formulas were very poor, and should be entertainment created by the pill G.O.D.S. in divine nations when they were bored. But the use of this bone-level Dan was extremely large. It was a divine pill that Serpa said the limits of the physical body. I want this one. After Chen Xiang took off the plate, he mixed the blood with it and immediately got the pill formulas inside. The refining method and the ingredients formulas were all clearly displayed in his mind. What divine pill is this? The old man asked hurriedly. Bone-level Dan, I wonder if the medicinal ingredients for this pill are good enough for us to find. Chen Xiang muttered. If the medicinal ingredients to be refined were too difficult to find, then he would need a very long time to make it. The old man was shocked. Your luck is not bad. This bone-level Dan is a type of divine pill that can evolve. There are both high, middle and low rank, and is also relatively rare in the divine nations. If it was an evolution-type divine pill, then even Xiaoping Dan could be more precious than other Zhongping Dan. This was because the weakest of these divine pellets were the low-quality pellets, but the effect and usage of the low-quality pellets were greater than those of the other Zhongping Dan, so their value Serpa said them. Generally speaking, a divine pill that could be used on upper, middle, and lower quality would be more precious. A human's body has a total of 9 parts that can condense bones. Bones would normally fuse with a few strong beasts' divine soul in order to obtain the innate abilities of those divine beasts. It might be easy to condense the first bones, but the further one goes, the harder it becomes. The old man continued. If it's at the same cultivation level, with bones S and powerful beast divine soul S, one's strength would rise by a lot, and in divine nations, bones S are also an important criterion to judge one's strength. Chen Xiang only knew that it could condense bones, but did not know that it could condense 9 bones S. Usually, only the supreme G.O.D. would start to think about bones. Of course, it's best if you can do that right now, because bone-level Dan is not something that can be obtained immediately just by eating it. It only has a type of inducing effect, and can induce an opportunity for you to condense it yourself. But even so, bone-level Danas are still precious. The old man was very knowledgeable about medicine pills, and he was explaining it to Chen Xiang patiently. Chen Xiang nodded, and immediately thanked the old man for telling him so much. How can I find these medicinal herbs? Chen Xiang had asked Luo Tianjun before, but he would naturally understand after Luo Tianjun told him that she had said the examination. The old man brought Chen Xiang to the hall and said, If you want to obtain the divine medicine, go to Supreme Hall and paste a piece of paper on it. On it are the herbs that you need and the conditions to purchase them. Chen Xiang left Dan Heart Pavilion and returned to his Dan Hall. 3 Gu brothers and Luo Tianjun were waiting for him there. When they saw him return, they immediately rushed over, grabbing him and asking questions. What kind of Shangpin Holy Dan did you refine during the examination? Did you pass? What pill formula did you get? Chen Xiang answered with a smile. The pill I refined during the examination was Ultimate Flame Holy Pellet, and the pill formula I obtained was Bone-level Dan. After finding out that it was the Bone-level Dan, Luo Tianjuan's originally smiling face immediately turned serious. Then, he dragged the 3 brothers who were still in shock into the secret room. Listen, the 3 of you, don't say anything about Chen Xiang obtaining such a pill formula. The pavilion master of the Dan Heart Pavilion should know about it too. I'll go greet him later and have him keep it a secret. Luo Tianjun looked at 3 Gu brothers sternly, his voice extremely serious. 3 Gu brothers also immediately understood and nodded hastily. Chen Xiang was a little puzzled and asked, "Why do you want to do this?" Luo Tianjun frowned and said, "It's impossible for a pill like the bone-level Dan to be placed into the Supreme Divine Palace. I understand the alchemists. I think they threw the pill formula in by mistake. The moment they find out, they will definitely take it back. At that time, they might even need to use a secret technique to clear your memories." Chen Xiang's expression changed. He never thought it would be like this. "Then do I still need to purchase the bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients?" Chen Xiang asked. "Doesn't that mean I can't openly refine this bone-level Dan?" Luo Tianjun nodded his head. "Unless you can create your own divine pill formula, you will only be able to partake. 1 P8 in the compet. 1 Tian of Shangpin Holy Dan. You have not refined your divine pill yet, so on your signboard, you are only a superior pill saint. However, you can still purchase the medicine, because no one knows about the bone-level Dan's pill formulas, but you still have to be careful." Chen Xiang really wanted to partake. 1 P8 in that compet. 1 Tian, but he couldn't use the bone-level Dan. The divine medicine that Feng Yujie had given him also couldn't be used. "I'll go check out the Supreme Hall first." Chen Xiang could only plan to create the divine pill formula by himself now. The compet.I.Tian at Dan Hall was going to start soon. If he was going to create a brand new divine medicine formula, it would take a long time. Chen Xiang would definitely not make it in time, so he planned to use the old method. The compet. 1 Tian at Dan Hall was going to start soon. If he was going to create a brand new divine medicine formula, it would take a long time. Chen Xiang would definitely not make it in time, so he planned to use the old method. It was to see through other people's divine pellets and then refine it yourself. With the help of the original source refining, a divine pellet that had a similar effect but was even better than the original recipe would be created. When the time came, he would just be competing in refining the Supreme Dan beads and not competing in its effectiveness. Therefore, he planned to improve some of the rare divine pills. There were many disciples walking around Supreme Hall, and in this huge hall, there were many stone walls. On the walls were many pieces of paper stuck to the walls, and on them were many notices that asked to be bought or sold. Usually, it required a very high price to attract attention. One of them was a shopping Dan seller called Yusen Dan, and was a type of divine healing pellet. After consuming it, one's internal organs would be quickly healed, and the medicinal strength would then be released through their internal organs to achieve the purpose of healing the body. There were many kinds of healing panacea, but their effects were almost the same. Most were because there were many panaceas, and the backlash was not public. Therefore, many alchemy gods started to concoct a lot of healing panaceas. Therefore, Chen Xiang decided to purchase the Yusen Dan and improve it. He still had 200,000 Shin Yuan stone on him, but this Yusen Dan wanted 150,000 Shin Yuan stone. Normally, shopping Dan S would pay such a price, so Chen Xiang did not plan to bargain. He recorded the details on the paper, and then went to find the person who released the information. The other notices that he was paying attention to were all for the sale of shopping Dan, and he was more satisfied with this Yusen Dan. From the 9th hall of Dan Hall. Chen Xiang thought in his heart as he left the Supreme Hall for the 9th hall. Although he was from the 10th Dan Hall, he was a distance away from the 9th hall. After finding the 9th hall, Chen Xiang stood outside the door of it. It was the same as the 10th hall, a single courtyard with a few rooms and a large hall inside. After knocking a few times, someone quickly opened the door. "Is something the matter?" The one who opened the door was an old man, with a medicinal scent on his body. It was an alchemist. "I want to buy Yusen Dan." The notice did not leave any name, it only mentioned the 9th hall. Chen Xiang politely smiled and said. The old man opened the door wide and said, "The pill G. Oh, D of our 9th hall is on sale. Come in. Chen Xiang followed the old man to the hall, where the old man went to knock on the doors of the rooms, to call the alchemist who was selling the Yusen Dan. Chen Xiang sat in the hall and drank his tea. Seeing the alchemist walk in, he almost spat out his tea. Feng Yujie was not surprised to see Chen Xiang, because she already knew that Chen Xiang would come, but Chen Xiang did not know that she would be here. Previously, Huang Jintian had told him that Feng Yujie and LV Qilian had appeared after he had summoned the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Pretend you don't know me. Feng Yujie anxiously transmitted to Chen Xiang. The old man who opened the door for Chen Xiang walked in, and Chen Xiang also calmed down. Junior sister, this is the person who said he wanted to buy your Yusen Dan. After speaking, the old man walked out of the hall. Feng Yujie dressed simply. A set of white dress with a tinge of yellow already appeared. Her hair was simply tied up, but was extremely neatly combed, and the special charm on her face had already been restrained. She did not have the attitude of a strong female warrior from back then, and she looked just like a pretty lady. Even if she was like this now, Chen Xiang watched with relish, because compared to her seductive temperament from before, Feng Yujie now had a different kind of charm. What are you looking at? Stop looking. Feng Yujie snorted softly, causing him to laugh wickedly. Can't you have a little less Yusen Dan? Chen Xiang asked. Since he was someone he was familiar with, there was room for discussion. He did not have such plans previously. No, it's 150,000 Xin Yuan stone. Do you want them or not? Feng Yujie gracefully sat down and looked outside, then spoke to Chen Xiang via sound transmission. I'm really lacking Xin Yuan stone. What do you want to do here? You have the supreme G. Oh, D-bone, so the use of this pill is not very useful for you. Furthermore, your body's self-recovery abilities are so strong, you probably don't need it. If you really need it, I'll give it to you. Feng Yujie had treated Chen Xiang very well, because she knew that Chen Xiang had treated her and her sister well. You just need to tell me what kind of medicine you use to refine it. I want to improve it. Chen Xiang said. I want to partake. 1p8 in the compet. 1 tie-in at the Dan Hall. I need to refine a type of divine pill before I can join the group of shopping Dan. Feng Yujie asked curiously. With your abilities, Pa-S, sing the Dan Heart Pavilion's examination won't be difficult. You lack the divine pill formulas. You can be considered careful and didn't use the divine pill formulas that I Pa-S said down to you. If there were any divine pills that appeared, you won't be able to Pa-S. Chen Xiang sighed. I Pa-S said the Dan Heart Pavilion's assessment, but I obtained the bone-level Dan's pill formula. My hall master told me to keep it a secret, so I cannot refine this pill. I can only return to my original job. Feng Yujie had long known that Chen Xiang had the ability to see through other people's pill formulas, but now that she knew that Chen Xiang had the bone-level Dan's formula, she was shocked. Sister Feng, when did you come in? Chen Xiang asked. I thought you were with Big Sister Qilian and the others. I came here as soon as you entered the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. A few days ago, I secretly went back to visit and met with the younger 9 girl. I already know about your situation in the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, but I didn't expect it to be so complicated. Feng Yujie sighed. I'll leave the heavy burden of saving 9 divine kings to you. If I can help, I will do my best to help you. Feng Yujie had already told Chen Xiang the medicinal ingredients that the Yusen Dan needed. You already know. I don't need to say anything more. Sister Feng, how did you sneak back? Chen Xiang also wanted to go back quietly. It's no longer possible now. The 9 divine kings' secret passage has already been sealed. You don't have to worry, those women of yours are all fine now, don't worry. Feng Yujie kept on looking at her with that evil eyes, causing her to feel extremely uncomfortable. Chen Xiang asked, Sister Feng, can you sell your Yusen Dan? Feng Yujie shook his head. I have been dead for many days already, and only you have asked around. I have the divine pill formulas, but I need a lot of precious herbs, and I don't have any Shin Yuan stone either. Chen Xiang chuckled. I'll buy your Yusen Dan now, you should have more ingredients, give me a portion, I'll copy some and help you earn some Shin Yuan stone, I'm good at this aspect. Chen Xiang had been training with Lu Menger and the other girls for so many years, she naturally already knew that they had cultivated many spirit pearls with Chen Xiang. Thinking of this, and the look Chen Xiang gave her just now, she couldn't help but spit. Chen Xiang also needed some Shin Yuan stone to buy some medicinal ingredient. In this super God realm, there were a lot of high-level divine medicines, so it was a good opportunity to buy them. Chen Xiang also needed some Shin Yuan stone to buy some medicinal ingredient. In this super God realm, there were a lot of high-level divine medicines, so it was a good opportunity to buy them. Feng Yujie herself also planned to sell the pellet for medicine in exchange for a few Shin Yuan stone and then purchase a large amount of divine medicines. However, it was not that easy for her to do it herself, because she did not have the ability to replicate those heaven-defying medicines. This is the Yusen Dan's medicine. The Yusen Dan was the divine medicine I got from Pa's. Sing the Dan Heart Pavilion's assessment. The difference is so great that no one bought it for me. Feng Yujie did not think highly of the Yusen Dan, because among the healing shopping Dan, it was much better than the Yusen Dan, and the price was only slightly higher than the Yusen Dan. Chen Xiang received the medicinal ingredients Feng Yujie gave him, and of them, 2 were enough for him to refine. He also gave Feng Yujie 150,000 Shin Yuan stone. Feng Yujie said, When I buy the ingredients for my divine pellet and sell it, I will return the Shin Yuan stone to you. Feng Yujie did not dare to use the pill formula that she gave to him previously because she was afraid that it would attract attention. Feng Yujie also said just now that the Divine King's pill formulas were all unique, and would easily attract attention. You want to use the King's pill formula? Chen Xiang was extremely suspicious of this. He clearly said that it could not be used. Of course not, this pill formula is not the King's, but the Dan Yes. I have to admit that this guy has some ability. He created a pretty good pill formula himself. If I can successfully refine it, it would be very easy to sell. Feng Yujie said. That Dan did not make things difficult for the Devil Emperor and the others back then, so she gave Chen Xiang a good impression. Sister Feng, how did you sneak into the Supreme Divine Palace? In order to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, I went through a very cruel trial. Chen Xiang asked, and he did not know Feng Yujie's purpose for coming here. Feng Yujie laughed. I have a supreme God bone, and because of the God King I came in. I first entered the Super God realm, then Elder called me in. It was this easy. Chen Xiang suddenly thought of something important, and that was Xiao Chou. Xiao Chou was the same as him. He was also qualified to partake 1p8 in the trial. He hadn't asked Huang Jintian before, and Yi Bidong also didn't mention anything about Xiao Chou to him. I almost forgot about that bald kid. Chen Xiang patted his head. He was extremely worried at the moment. If he did not see Xiao Chou here in Supreme Divine Palace, then Xiao Chou would be in danger. Feng Yujie asked, You said that he is your bald disciple from Great Strength race. Chen Xiang hurriedly nodded. That's him, do you have his whereabouts? He came to see me once during the 70 to 80 years you were missing. He asked me if I had seen you, and I haven't seen him since. Feng Yujie frowned slightly. He and the bald-headed brat were very strong back then, seems like they were much stronger than you. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that Xiao Chou had already said the trial, and was most likely inside the Supreme Divine Palace, maybe even earlier than him by a lot, because he had lost 70 years of time during the trial. What are you doing in the Supreme Divine Palace? Just with your relations. Hi plus P with the 9 divine kings. If those divine nations find out, you would be in danger. Chen Xiang said. I'm here to inquire about some news from the divine nations. This will be beneficial to me in the future. Feng Yujie said. Now, LV Qilian is secretly developing, with Xiang Yu and Qianshan refining the pills. They can quickly become stronger, but God's realm is extremely lacking high-level medicines, so I had planned to come here to gather some, but who would have known that the pass sage back to God's realm was suddenly blocked. Qin Xiang sighed. I also want to go back to take a look. I wonder how God's realm is doing now. Feng Yujie said. It's best that you don't go back, since there are already 3 divine nations who sent guards to investigate the affairs of the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, and they already know that you are the one who did it, and they also know that you have the 6 realms mirrors on you. They are looking for you, and most importantly, they are trying to steal your 6 realms mirrors. Looks like I have to hurry up and become stronger. Alright, I'll go back first. If there's anything else, I'll come find you. Chen Xiang finished his cup of tea and stood up to tidy up his clothes. How many halls are you in? Feng Yujie asked. 10th hall, you are welcome at any time. Chen Xiang chuckled. The hall masters and senior brothers are all very well. Feng Yujie stuck his tongue out at him and urged him to leave quickly. When Chen Xiang left the 9th hall, he immediately went to look for Luo Tianjun. Luo Tianjun had no other matters. He would always be in his room. The moment Chen Xiang entered the courtyard, he would immediately shout, Hall Master. Hearing Chen Xiang's shout, as long as Luo Tianjun wasn't in closed-door cultivation, he would immediately open the door and walk out. Brat, has something good happened? Luo Tianjun asked with a smile. Good things don't happen every day. Chen Xiang laughed. I want to ask you, I want to find a friend here. How do I find him? He also came here through a trial, and he entered much earlier than me. Luo Tianjun said. You go to the Supreme Hall to find the old man sitting at the counter. You said that he is from Sky Sovereign Dan Hall, then he can help you search for the records of the new disciples. If that friend of yours came in, you should be able to find him. Hall Master, you're really amazing. Even the old man and the manager of the Dan Hart Pavilion have such good relations with you. Chen Xiang had an expression of wars. Hi plus P on his face as he nonchalantly flattered Yu Yang. Luo Tianjun laughed. Of course, of all the Dan Halls, I am the most popular one. Other people might not know the hall master's name if you were to go out and talk about the 9th hall and the 7th hall, but if you were to report the name of the 10th hall, everyone would know that it's mine, so my 10th hall also has a nickname, called Sky Average Dan Hall. If Bidong did not let you join us, I would not have accepted you back then. Now, many alchemists want to come over to my side. Luo Tianjun said in a smug voice. So you little rascal, to be able to enter my Dan Hall is a great honor, and something that you should cherish well. Chen Xiang's eyes lit up and he asked, Hall Master, if a friend of mine wants to transfer halls here, is it okay? She is also an alchemist, and her level is extremely high. Luo Tianjun asked curiously, You even know the other Dan Hall you just entered not long ago, if your relations. Hi plus P with that guy is good and is trustworthy, I would agree to let him in, so you have to be sure of the character of your friend. Chen Xiang did want Feng Yujie to come over, so they could have a companion. He smiled. My friend is a woman. Luo Tianjun immediately opened his eyes wide, interrupting Chen Xiang. B-A-S-T-A-R. You already knew alchemist as soon as you came in, you little brat. Don't you know that there are a lot of alchemists who are single? Chen Xiang scratched his head and laughed. She and I have known each other for a long time. I will talk to her about it later to see if she is willing to turn around. He did not go to the 9th hall immediately, because he knew that Feng Yujie was definitely not in there. He should be going to the Supreme Hall to purchase some sort of divine medicine. There were also many beautiful women in the Supreme Divine Palace, but there were the least in the Dan Hall, and there were a lot of other halls, especially the Sword Hall, where the most beautiful women were located. There were also many beautiful women in the Supreme Divine Palace, but there were the least in the Dan Hall, and there were a lot of other halls, especially the Sword Hall, where the most beautiful women were located. After Feng Yujie entered the Supreme Divine Palace, she had restrained herself quite a bit. Right now, she could already control her kind of mysterious and enticing power, and at the same time dress herself up simply, so she was not too eye-catching in the Supreme Hall, because there were a lot of beautiful women dressed up here. After Chen Xiang entered, he came to the counter. He saw a few men mumbling to themselves, saying that the old man was very black-hearted and something like that. Now, Chen Xiang finally understood why there were so many people in Supreme Hall, but why there were so few people who came to the counter to question him. "Old sir, I am from Dan Hall Tianjun." Chen Xiang immediately reported his background, in case he was scammed later on. The old man at the counter was tall and thin. He had a head of short white hair and a small goatee. His skin was very white and tender without any wrinkles. He looked very energetic. "Show me your jade tablet. If you pretend to be one of Camel's men, then you'll be out of luck." The old man laughed sinisterly, causing Chen Xiang's heart to tremble. He quickly took out his ident. One tie plate and handed it over. After the old man read it, he returned it with a smile. "As expected, it's just like what old Luo said, a young fellow. Why did you look for me? I won't take your Shen Yuan stone. Then, I will thank Senior first. I want to find a person who has entered the Supreme Divine Palace in these past few decades. He is bald, and he is. I came in after Pa S sing the trial." Chen Xiang lowered his voice and said, "Can you find it?" The old man immediately said, "There is one baldy, but he didn't Pa S the trial to come here. So far, only you have Pa S said the trial to come in." "You are sure that your friend has Pa S said the trial?" Chen Xiang was immediately suspicious. Could it be that Xiao Chou had not Pa S said, but he had sought Feng Yujie out after the deadline? If he had not gone for the trial, he would have died. He would not have been able to find Feng Yujie. "Are there any portraits of that baldy?" Chen Xiang asked again. After entering the Supreme Divine Palace, he had never met a baldy, so he looked around with the only hope in hand. The old man took out a piece of paper from the storage magic treasure and gave it to Chen Xiang. "He has been in the Soul Hall for decades, and has gone out with their hall master. He has already been out for a few months, and should be back very soon, so he should be the first hall of the Supreme Soul Hall Divine Hall. This bald head is very outstanding, and might become the first hall master," the old man said. Chen Xiang couldn't understand why Xiao Chou didn't go through any trials, but still went into the Supreme Divine Palace, and did it so well. He had originally guessed that Xiao Chou was going to the boxing hall, but he hadn't thought that it would be the Soul Hall. This was also pretty good. When he needed Beast Divine Soul in the future, he could go and find Xiao Chou. Chen Xiang thanked the old man once again, and strolled around Supreme Hall. He quickly found Feng Yujie, who was currently looking for a place to post her purchase notice. "Sister Feng." Chen Xiang patted Feng Yujie's shoulder and laughed. Feng Yujie turned his head and saw Chen Xiang approaching. He smiled. "It's great that you're here. Help me find a good place." The notices that were posted in the Supreme Hall were all bought from the counters, and were valid for 10 days. After 10 days, they could be torn down, and if they did not expire, the counters would know that if they caught one, they would be punished by many Shen Yuan stone. In the lower right corner of the announcement there was a countdown, such as 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. If it was not displayed, it meant that time was up. The spirit energy on the notice paper had also disappeared, and tearing it down would not result in any punishment. Chen Xiang released many Divine Soul S, and quickly found over 20 outdated announcements, which he could tear. I found more than 20 locations. How many pieces of paper do you have? Chen Xiang asked. 1. Every piece of paper is worth 200 Shin Yuan stone. It can only be used for 10 days. That old man is very evil. Buying 20 of them would cost more than 4,000, and it would be done in 10 days. Last time I went to ask him something, and he actually charged me 1,000 Shin Yuan stone. When he talked about the black-hearted old man at the counter, Feng Yujie got angry. Chen Xiang couldn't help but laugh, then pulled Feng Yujie's hand and walked away. Brat, where are you going? Feng Yujie asked. Take out the notice paper, you only need to paste one. It's hard to find. Chen Xiang said. You have to post more, or else who knows how long you will have to buy it for. How could I have so many Shin Yuan stones? Buying 20 of them at once would only take 10 days, and if we were to split them up, it would take 200 days. It would be more worthwhile, since I have the time. Although Feng Yujie did a good job in the GODS realm with a lot of good money, but in this place, money was useless as SCR. P metal, so she was very thrifty right now. Chen Xiang had already pulled Feng Yujie to the counter. Feng Yujie did not want to come here, because she felt a shadow over the black-hearted old man. Old mister, I want to buy some notice paper, can it be cheaper? Chen Xiang said to the old man. When Feng Yujie heard this, he thought to himself, if you know how to be cheap, then I'm dead. The old man from the Supreme Hall is the #1 bandit in the Supreme Divine Palace. When the old man saw that it was Chen Xiang, he immediately took out a stack of paper and laughed. Take it. Feng Yujie was immediately stunned. This made her feel like what she was seeing was an illusion. This black-hearted old man actually gave Chen Xiang so many pieces of paper for free, there seemed to be at least 50 of them, and he even told Chen Xiang to use them before taking them. Chen Xiang hurriedly thanked her, then pulled Feng Yujie to a place where they could stick some more, and stuffed the stack of papers back to Feng Yujie. Take it. Feng Yujie was still in a state of shock. After taking the medicine, after confirming that it was usable, he took a deep breath and asked, What relations? HI plus P do you have with him? Nothing, because I'm from the 10th hall. Oh right, do you want to transfer halls? My hall master said he can let you transfer there. Chen Xiang laughed proudly. It's really possible, of course I want to go over. I have long heard that many alchemists want to transfer over, but he doesn't accept them. Just with the advantage of being able to take the notice paper for free, how could it not move Feng Yujie's heart? With Chen Xiang's help, Feng Yujie had quickly put up 50 pieces. When the two of them returned, sing by the counter, they saw a few middle-aged men dressed in sword hall attire talking to the old man with a serious expression. Zhang Zhuo is dead. Also, Song Peng, and the 3 hall masters who were on good terms with Zhang Zhuo are all dead. Help me release a message and search for relevant clues. Chen Xiang was holding on to Feng Yujie's jade hand as he walked out. When he heard these words, he was shocked, but at the same time, he couldn't help but increase his strength by a little. Feng Yujie could clearly feel it and was also shocked in his heart. Feng Yujie secretly scolded Chen Xiang. Not long after he entered, he had already killed a few Supreme Divine Palace disciples, and a few of them were of the Hall Master level. Feng Yujie secretly scolded Chen Xiang. Not long after he entered, he had already killed a few Supreme Divine Palace disciples, and a few of them were of the Hall Master level. Of course, she wasn't the least bit surprised that Chen Xiang would do such a thing, otherwise it wouldn't be Chen Xiang at all. Furthermore, she knew that Chen Xiang wasn't the last resort, and definitely wouldn't kill people. Although Feng Yujie and Chen Xiang were secretly shocked in their hearts, they calmly walked out of the Supreme Hall. I'll go look for my hall master first. When I transfer to another hall, I need to greet him. You just have to wait for me in the 10th hall. Feng Yujie said. She did not ask Chen Xiang about killing Zhang Zhuo and the others, because this was not a suitable place to do so. Chen Xiang's face became gloomy. He was not afraid. He was only worried that it would be found out. He nodded and returned. Kid, how is it? Have you found your friend? Seeing that Chen Xiang had returned, Luo Tianjun shouted loudly. Yes, but he's already gone out with his hall master and won't be back for some time. That's why I can't see him for the time being. Chen Xiang laughed. Hall master, you are indeed very capable. That old man from Supreme Hall confirmed that I am from the 10th Hall, and thus gave me a lot of convenience. Luo Tianjun laughed proudly. Of course I, Luo Tianjun, am capable. I will let you experience me more in the future. Chen Xiang said. My friend from the 9th Hall has already agreed to come over, maybe she will come looking for me later. Right after she finished speaking, Feng Yujie appeared at the courtyard entrance. When she saw Chen Xiang, she ran in while laughing. Head, this is the friend I was talking about. Chen Xiang never thought that Feng Yujie would be so fast. Greetings, Hall Master. Feng Yujie greeted politely with a sweet smile on his face. Luo Tianjun laughed. There's no need to be courteous, bring your plate over, I will help you change it from now on, you are part of our 10th Hall. Feng Yujie walked up and handed over her item. 1. Tai jade tablet to Luo Tianjun. After receiving it, Luo Tianjun muttered, Feng Yujie, lowly divine pill G.O.D. After reading some information from Feng Yujie's jade tablet, Luo Tianjun branded the 10th Hall into the jade tablet. Haha, before, those guys always said that no female disciples would come into our 10th Hall. Let's see what they will say now. Luo Tianjun was very happy as he returned the jade token to Feng Yujie. Luo Tianjun had always hoped that there would be an outstanding female alchemist in the 10th Hall, but the young female alchemist S would usually choose those Dan Hall S, who were ranked in the top few, and the conditions offered by those Dan Hall S were also very good. Not only his 10th Hall, but many other Dan Hall S did not have any female disciples. Yujie, wait a minute, let me see how I can expand this place. I will build a house and an underground alchemy room for you. Luo Tianjun had a headache, because he did not know that his own Dan Hall would suddenly increase by so many people. He converted many empty rooms into a huge pill refining room, the one where the 3 Gu brothers had competed together to refine pills. Right now, he could not change the pill refining room, because the 3 Gu brothers had been competing in that place for many years. If it suddenly disappeared, they would feel very sad, and in order to make the Dan Hall harmonious, Luo Tianjun planned to expand this house. Chen Xiang suddenly said, No need, Sister Feng can stay in the same room as me. Feng Yujie was startled, but of course she would not agree. She was just about to reject him, but she felt that it would be better this way, because she and Chen Xiang both had some secrets to share, so living in the same house was not bad. You've developed that relations. Hi+P. Luo Tianjun was very surprised. He stared blankly for a while, then laughed with an I understand expression. Feng Yujie quickly explained, No, we are only at the same level. We are siblings, and we used to often play together. The rooms are very big, we can separate them, I don't mind that, but this way, you won't need to trouble yourself with the hall master's work. Although Feng Yujie explained it this way, Luo Tianjun still laughed mischievously. Then it's settled, or else I would have to get the approval of a few elders and hall masters for the expanded construction. It would be somewhat troublesome. At night, Chen Xiang, Feng Yujie and Luo Tianjun were having dinner in the living room. Luo Tianjun personally cooked many delicious dishes. Third senior brother hasn't come back yet. Chen Xiang asked. I haven't seen them for a day. Luo Tianjun held onto the food and laughed. Ignore them. Quickly eat, and try out my dishes. Those 3 fellows probably went to look for other halls to make a bet. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie both picked up their dishes, but just at this time, the 3 Gu brothers returned. They walked to the door of the living room, and when they saw that there was a woman there, they couldn't help but be shocked, as if they had seen something shocking. This. Who is it? The oldest Gu asked in surprise. This little girl Feng Yujie greets her 3 senior brothers. Feng Yujie immediately stood up and saluted the 3 Gu brothers gracefully. Luo Tianjun immediately said, "Why are you being so polite to them? Quickly cook, continue eating, ignore them." 3 Gu brothers seemed to have understood that this woman was their junior sister, and one that had just joined them, but they still did not dare believe it. That doesn't make sense. Gu Lao was stunned for a long time as he spat out these words. Yu Jie was originally in the 9th hall, so they knew each other since a long time ago. When they ped into each other here, they told her to turn around, and it was rude of the 3 of you, especially with your current appearances. Luo Tianjun shouted. 3 Gu brothers sat down quietly with a smile on his face. This was because their 10th hall finally had a female disciple. That's right, where does junior sister live now? Why don't we destroy that large alchemy room? Oldest Gu asked. No need, she lives with Chen Xiang. Luo Tianjun said. Oh, oldest Gu was startled and then understood. Feng Yujie was too lazy to explain anymore, but when she saw Chen Xiang's smiling lowly appearance, she secretly stepped on Chen Xiang's leg. Eat, eat, eat. We have more people now, and not long from now we will let them see how powerful we are in the Dan Hall. Luo Tianjun was extremely happy. After eating, they chatted for a while before returning to their own rooms. Chen Xiang's room was relatively large, even with 2 beds, it was still S.P.A. size. Brat, don't mess around tonight, otherwise you'll be out of luck. Feng Yujie pouted and warned as she entered the tight bathroom to take a bath. There was also a bathtub in the room. After Feng Yujie entered the bathroom, he was soaking in the bathtub, snorting for a bit as he washed his body. After Feng Yujie finished showering, he couldn't help but stamp his feet when he saw that Chen Xiang was actually plussing his body in front of her. Chen Xiang saw that Feng Yujie was a little angry and laughed. I don't mind if you see me, what do you mind about? Chen Xiang saw that Feng Yujie was a little angry and laughed. I don't mind if you see me, what do you mind about? Feng Yujie lied down on the bed, covered her delicate body with a thin blanket, and snorted at Chen Xiang. Wash faster, I still need to rest. Turn your head, I'm going to stand up. Feng Yujie laughed sinisterly. Feng Yujie immediately turned over, and Chen Xiang quickly stood up and put on her clothes. After he laid on the bed, Feng Yujie sent him a sound transmission. Did you really kill those guys? I was the one who killed them. In that situation, I had no choice but to kill them, or else the one who would be in trouble in the future would be me. Don't worry, they won't find out. I did very cleanly at that time. Chen Xiang said. Tell me what happened. Feng Yujie was a little curious. Not long after Chen Xiang came in, he started to make enemies with others. Chen Xiang told Feng Yujie everything about how he went through the trial to enter the Sword Hall, and how he had a conflict with Zhang Zhuo and the others when he was picking the herbs. These guys really have to kill them. Feng Yujie had already known about the divine lotus root. So you're saying that you have a divine lotus root in your hands? Chen Xiang said. Of course, but back then when I copied it, I used up many of my spirit pearls, so if I wanted to duplicate it now, I would need to condense a lot of spirit liquids myself. If I had spirit pearls, it would be a lot faster. Feng Yujie was also clear that the effects of the alive slain method as dual cultivation would be many times greater than that of the spiritual liquid he condensed alone. We're not in a hurry to get the spirit lotus right now. We need to learn how to concoct more divine pills first. Feng Yujie said, You will start refining the Yusen Dan tomorrow. I will continue to purchase my medicine and help you pay attention to the movements of the Sword Hall. You have to prepare for the worst yourself. If by any chance you don't find out, you will immediately leave the area under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Xiang had thought of this since long ago, but now he felt that they wouldn't be discovered, otherwise they would have found clues long ago. because with the death of the 5 important Sword Hall disciples, they wouldn't just disappear, it was enough for the Sword Hall to send out a lot of power to investigate. Sister Feng, do you want to learn my heavenly alchemy? Right now, your focus is mainly on refining pills. If you were to learn heavenly alchemy, there would be more pills produced. Chen Xiang said. Of course I do. When I first saw Xiang Yu and the rest concocting so many pills, I was already envious of them. Is this hard to learn? Xiang Yu and Qianqian both have a heavenly alchemy foundation, so I'm worried that it will be difficult for me to enter the sect. Feng Yujie said. Even though she had received guidance from the Divine King at a young age, she had never trained in the heavenly alchemy, so she did not understand it at all. It's not that difficult because your foundations are not bad. Let me enter your divine sense C and I will pass on to you the heavenly alchemy that I've learned. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie's relations. I plus P was so close that he wasn't stingy at all. Don't mess around when you enter my divine sense C. Feng Yujie scoffed. Chen Xiang laughed. As long as you don't do anything to my divine soul. The last time Feng Yujie had entered Chen Xiang's divine sense C, he had seen Chen Xiang's divine sense C world, and now Chen Xiang also wanted to see Feng Yujie's divine sense C. Chen Xiang walked up to Feng Yujie's bed, and gently tapped the center of Feng Yujie's brows with his finger, and a thin layer of mist leaked out. Feng Yujie relaxed his body and allowed Chen Xiang to enter her divine sense C world. Very quickly, Chen Xiang's divine soul arrived at a magnificent palace. Looking at this palace, Chen Xiang could not help but be shocked. Isn't this heavenly divine palace? Just a moment ago, he really thought that he had appeared in the 9th heaven of 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Pretty much, my divine sense C world is just like that, because I really want this heavenly divine palace to appear anew. Feng Yujie's divine soul gradually appeared in the air, and appeared in front of Chen Xiang's face. TL. Chen Xiang followed her into a beautiful and quiet garden. You can pass on your skills to me now. Feng Yujie sat on the GRASS in the garden. Chen Xiang also sat down and began to pass his heavenly alchemy to Feng Yujie. It was already morning and Chen Xiang had already finished transmitting his skills. Because Feng Yujie did not have the same cultivation base as Wu Qianqian and Wu Qianqian, imparting the techniques to him would be extremely difficult as well. Fortunately, Feng Yujie had a very high comprehension, and under the method of transferring his skills through the divine soul, he quickly comprehended a few things. No wonder you always make pills that can shake the sky and earth, these methods are way too magical. Feng Yujie gasped in surprise. The few types of cultivation techniques that you have obtained are the ones that I have currently comprehended. After you become familiar with them, you can go and comprehend your own cultivation technique. Everyone will be able to comprehend different types of cultivation techniques from them. Chen Xiang laughed. Do you want me to pass the alive slain method to you? Feng Yujie lightly snorted. No need, I've known this for a long time. Qilian pass, set it down to me. The strongest part of the alive slain method was the dual cultivation. When Feng Yujie saw Chen Xiang smile so mischievously, she knew that he had that kind of idea, and just as she was thinking that, the clothes on top of Chen Xiang's body suddenly disappeared. Chen Xiang was immediately stunned. His divine soul was weaker than Feng Yujie's, so in Feng Yujie's divine sense C world, he could directly control his own divine soul. The clothes on his upper body suddenly disappeared, which must have something to do with Feng Yujie's thoughts. This also caused Chen Xiang to think about it. He never thought that the beautiful and pure 9 heavens goddess would actually treat him like this. Very quickly, Chen Xiang was forcefully sent out of her divine sense C, and Feng Yujie buried his face in the blanket. Although Chen Xiang did not see it, He knew that it must be extremely red. It's daybreak. Hurry up and do what you need to do. Feng Yujie covered her head and softly said in a pout, "Little scoundrel, don't come near me." Chen Xiang had a wronged expression on his face, but he did not do anything wrong. "Nothing happened just now, I won't bring it up again in the future." "You still said it? It's all your fault, it's all your fault." Feng Yujie shouted out. Although her voice was loud, it was hard to hide her embarrassment. Chen Xiang chuckled. "All right, then it's all my fault, I'll leave now." He immediately ran to the bottom of the secret room to study the Yusindan. Feng Yujie only dared to reveal her head after a long time, but her face was still red. She never thought that she would suddenly have such an idea towards Chen Xiang, and when she thought back, her face immediately flushed red. Feng Yujie left for Supreme Hall very early in the morning. She was going to fix her notice, because she was already at the 10th hall. When she arrived at Supreme Divine Palace, she saw the few middle-aged men in charge of investigating the incident with Zhang Zhuo. There were also many bounty orders pasted on them, all of them had clues related to the bounty. "We've just gotten some clues. On the day before Zhang Zhuo and the others disappeared, they went to purchase medicinal herbs. We've checked one by one, and a family has also gone missing," the middle-aged man said to the old man behind the counter. "In the end, we searched around and found traces of a fight, but the scene was very cleaned up and there weren't any clues left behind. However, we learned that the missing family members are a young lady and little girl. We need to find them." When Feng Yujie heard this, he was worried in his heart. She had already learned from Chen Xiang that the grandfather and grandson pair were going to the heavenly divine profound lake. If they were stopped halfway and asked about something, Chen Xiang would be in danger. When Feng Yujie heard this, he was worried in his heart. She had already learned from Chen Xiang that the grandfather and grandson pair were going to the heavenly divine profound lake. If they were stopped halfway and asked about something, Chen Xiang would be in danger. After hearing what she said, Feng Yujie did not continue modifying her notice and immediately went back to look for Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang had not started to refine pills yet, but had used his spirit essence to look at the spirit blood inside the ingredients. When he heard someone approaching and sensed Feng Yujie's aura, he immediately stood up and walked over to open the door. "Brat, the people in charge of investigating the situation have found some clues. They are going to look for the old lady and little girl. This is their only clue." Feng Yujie said, "I heard it from the Supreme Hall." Right now, Chen Xiang was not worrying about himself, but worried about the ancestor and grandson. He didn't know where they had gone to right now, or else he would have chased after them immediately. Seeing Chen Xiang's worry, Feng Yujie said, "We have been waiting patiently." Chen Xiang nodded. "Refine well, wait until we see you. Mulate enough strength, then we'll go take a look at the mysterious sky deity's lake." Feng Yujie comforted Chen Xiang. After Feng Yujie left, it took Chen Xiang half an hour to calm down. Yusindan requires 3 types of inferior-grade divine medicines, and these are Xiaoping Dan that use fewer divine medicines. It's no wonder that they're not welcomed, since the effects are not strong. If I were to add another inferior-grade divine medicine to enhance the original abilities of the Yusindan, then it would definitely be very popular. Chen Xiang was rummaging through the low-rank divine medicine in his memory, looking at the suitable ones to go with the Yusindan. The spirit orb used to copy the medicinal ingredients was almost used up, and using the spirit liquid slowly, Chen Xiang felt that it would be better to refine the pills to exchange for Shen Yuan stone, and then purchase the medicinal ingredients faster. Chen Xiang looked at the 3 divine medicines on top of the jade basin. These were all low-grade divine medicines used to refine Yusindan. Felt that the effects of the pellet that was refined from the crescent moon divine fruit should not be too bad. The Yusindan, on the other hand, was much weaker, and it must be because of some other reason that the effects of the crescent moon divine fruit could not be unleashed, and it was suppressed. The last type was the jade-green tree roots, something that many divine trees had. When some divine trees grew to a certain age, the roots would turn into jade-like jades that could be used to concoct pills and also have good healing effects. The jasper root and the purple beard are both things that grow only when they have reached a certain age. They can be considered very common, but the crescent moon divine fruit is not the same as these two elixirs. After Chen Xiang carefully laced these medicinal ingredients, he fell into deep thought. If I want to add another medicinal ingredient, then I need to have the same special name as the crescent moon G-O-D fruit. At the same time, I need to be able to combine the medicinal ingredients together with the jadeite tree root and the jade flower purple bee to form a line and fuse these three types. The fourth low-rank divine medicine that was added was extremely important. Not only did it have to have a strong enough healing effect, it also had to be able to reconcile the other three divine medicines. What is suitable? The knowledge that Feng Yujie had imparted to him was constantly flasing through Chen Xiang's mind. 2 hours had passed, and Chen Xiang had finally found something that was more suitable for him. The specifics would need to be tried first before he could confirm whether or not they perfectly fused together. Let's first refine a cauldron first. Chen Xiang had yet to start concocting pills, and the reason he was concocting pills now was only to familiarize himself with the true specialties of the Yusindan's various medicinal ingredients. He only had 2 sets of Yusindan's ingredients in his possession. After refining this batch, he would have to make a copy which would consume all of his spirit liquid. After a day's time, he successfully refined a batch of Yusindan. His original source refining on top of refining divine pellets also had a very good effect, allowing him to quickly finish refining them. The first time was not going to be easy. It would take a long time and a lot of patience. 4 pellets if I sell one for 100,000 Shin Yuan stone, I wonder if I can sell it a little faster. In Chen Xiang's hands were 4 divine pellets that looked like purple jade bead. These were Yusindan's. If it was in the Supreme Hall, then it would need 10,000 Shin Yuan stone. The 3 types of Yusindan's medicinal herbs were all relatively common, and if 30,000 Shin Yuan stone could be received, then even if it was only selling for 60,000 one pellet, it would still be worth a lot. Of course, this was only true for Chen Xiang, because he was extremely fast in refining Yusindan using the original source refining. After familiarizing himself with it, he was able to refine 1 pot in half a day and could refine 4 pills at a time. If it were any other alchemist that had just touched the divine pellet realm, then it would at least take 10 days, and at the most, half a month. This is the first divine pill that I will concoct after I become a pill god. Chen Xiang sighed deeply as he looked at the 4 Yusindan's. He wanted to refine that bone-level Dan even more. He desired bones very much, because it would allow him to have even more power. It was night when Chen Xiang came up from the secret underground room. Seeing Feng Yujie quietly sleeping on the side of the bed, that beautiful posture of hers made Chen Xiang reluctant to move his eyes away. Feng Yujie suddenly opened her eyes. Although she was fast asleep previously, a strong warrior of her level would immediately catch her if she made a sound, then quickly wake her up. When she heard Chen Xiang opening the stone door of the secret room, she immediately woke up. I'm going to take a bath. Chen Xiang laughed and immediately went into the bathroom to wash his body. He had concocted pills for a long time and was sweating profusely. Feng Yujie snorted lightly and used the blanket to wrap herself up tightly. Hearing the splashing sound of the water in the bathtub, she couldn't help but think about it, and quickly remembered that Chen Xiang was in her divine sense, making her feel embarrassed. With such a big bed, don't you feel empty sleeping on your own? Chen Xiang walked out from the bathroom and said while laughing. None of your business. Hurry up and go to sleep. Feng Yujie's jade face was flushed red, but because of the dim light in the room, Chen Xiang did not see it. After Chen Xiang laid on his bed, he said, I have already successfully refined 4 Yusindan S. Sister Feng, tell me, if I were to buy 100,000 Shin Yuan stone S, would it be possible for me to sell it quickly? At this point in time, Feng Yujie already had an extremely deep understanding of the heavenly alchemy. She was not surprised at all that Chen Xiang had refined 4 Yusindan. It's still a little difficult. The 80,000 Shin Yuan stone should be able to be sold very quickly, Feng Yujie said. At this time, she was also stirred up, wanting to test the Yusindan with her heavenly alchemy, to see if she could refine 4 pills herself. Chen Xiang asked, How many herbs did you purchase? When he asked about the present, Feng Yujie was a little helpless and sighed. I was going to buy the same one today, but that guy's asking price is too high, 100,000 Shin Yuan stone, I didn't ask for it. She only had the few Shin Yuan stone that Chen Xiang had given her. If she were to buy this portion, she wouldn't have much left. She only had the few Shin Yuan stone that Chen Xiang had given her. If she were to buy this portion, she wouldn't have much left. Buy his tomorrow, and sell these 4 Yusindan as well. Chen Xiang said, Since you have learnt the alive slain method, you should be able to condense more spirit liquid in the next few days. Feng Yujie suddenly felt that it was somewhat useless. She was stronger than Chen Xiang, and had even inherited the 9 Divine Kings' legacy, and now that she urgently needed the Shen Yuan stone, since she felt so powerless, she couldn't wait to let Chen Xiang help her. Brat, I heard Qilian say that you can condense spiritual beads just by kissing, right? Feng Yujie suddenly asked with a voice as soft as a mosquito's. It was obvious that he was shy. After Chen Xiang heard this, he did not immediately reply, but sunk into silence, while his heart thumped rapidly. Feng Yujie obviously had this kind of plan. For him, asking this question was way too unexpected. Yes. Chen Xiang was silent for a moment, before calming himself down and saying indifferently, I've heard that this method of condensing spirit orbs has a pretty good effect. After all, the two of us are both powerful gods. Feng Yujie grabbed onto his blanket tightly and bit his lower lip lightly. He was carefully considering whether or not he should do that. Just like this, the room sank into an extremely emotional atmosphere and was silent the entire time. Only after an entire hour had passed, did Feng Yujie finally call out in a low voice, Come over here. So it's like this. Is it really okay? Chen Xiang did not go over immediately, which made Feng Yujie a little angry. She did not want to discuss this matter so much, so she hoped that Chen Xiang could hurry up and finish this matter quickly by kissing her. If you don't want to, then forget it. Feng Yujie scoffed. You don't know the process. We'll be going on for a long time. Chen Xiang kindly reminded him. It was not that he did not want to, it was just that he was worried that Feng Yujie would feel awkward in the future and distance himself from him. D.A.M. And brat, if you don't come over, I'll ignore you. Feng Yujie scolded. The moment she finished speaking, Chen Xiang appeared on his bed. Feng Yujie had still wrapped himself in the blanket, tightly, and only his head was exposed. Chen Xiang lit up the night illumination pearl above and chuckled. Is this how it starts? Feng Yujie pouted. Then what do you want? Seeing Feng Yujie's red face, Chen Xiang also didn't know how to make his move. He smiled and replied, Indeed, I want you to just take the blanket away, it will feel better if you hug me like that. I won't lie to you, after all, we need to continue doing this until dawn. Feng Yujie had already decided to throw caution to the wind. After kicking away the blanket, he acted as though he was at your mercy. He gently pouted, D.A.M. And brat, hurry up. This was the first time she had played this game. Although she had teased Chen Xiang before, she really felt that it was too childish to let such a thing happen. She did not want such a thing to really happen to her. Sister Feng, you are Sister Yu and Sister Meiao's mother? Do you think that's good? Chen Xiang laid beside Feng Yujie, using his fingers to caress her white and tender earlobes, laughing wickedly next to her ear. You should already know that Sister Meiyao is dead set on me. She's already my woman, and she's your Ji. Oh, daughter. Feng Yujie really wanted to roll over and give Chen Xiang a fierce slap. These words at such a critical juncture was clearly meant to tease her. Stinking brat, stop pretending with me. Feng Yujie flipped his body and pressed Chen Xiang down backwards, then directly put his own sandalwood mouth under Chen Xiang's body. That fragrant tongue had already entered Chen Xiang's mouth and was moving around randomly, a little crazily at that. In that moment, Chen Xiang's mind was blank. He never thought that Feng Yujie would suddenly be so intrepid, forcefully kissing him. This was the first time he had experienced this. At that time, Chen Xiang was just a little brat that she could do whatever she wanted, while she was the empress that could not. Thinking back how soft she had been to Chen Xiang just now, even she felt ashamed of herself. Now that she had the upper hand, she felt really happy in her heart, because she had recovered the confidence that she had in front of Chen Xiang in the past. Chen Xiang did not allow himself to be outdone, and fiercely embraced her. With a flip, he pressed her down below. Just like this, the two of them turned and turned, both of them wanting to be on top, but their lips were tightly pressed together to kiss, and they did not start cultivating the alive-slain method. It was obvious that they had already been captivated by this wonderful feeling and were unable to extricate themselves, and were deeply intoxicated in it. The two who were kissing each other unknowingly released the feelings they had hidden deep within their hearts. At this moment they realized that they liked each other quite a bit, but they hadn't said it out loud in the past. The reason why they had such a deep attraction towards each other was because they thought that after coming to this place far away from the G.O.D.S. realm, they would rush over here even more thoroughly. This was because they had left their familiar environment and came to this unfamiliar and helpless place. Of course, they did not know that because they had entered each other's divine sense before, and to let others enter their own divine sense, it meant that they had an incomparable trust in that person. Faintly, this trust also strengthened the feelings in their hearts. At first, the two were very arrogant, but as time went on, they gradually became entangled, and soon after, they also entered the state of cultivating a live-slain method with great tacit understanding. In the morning, Feng Yujie woke up and sat up. He spat out a light blue spirit race pellet, which was different from the color that Chen Xiang had condensed when he had kissed LV Qilian. Chen Xiang giggled as he looked at the snow-white BREASTs that were exposed on the side of Feng Yujie's body. Feng Yujie spat lightly, rolled his eyes and pulled off his clothes. Although they had done something very intimate, they had not broken through the last line of defense yet, because Chen Xiang could feel that Feng Yujie was still unwilling. He was very experienced with this feeling. I want to keep it. Feng Yujie laid on Chen Xiang's chest and said softly and sweetly, let's come back tonight. We can still condense a lot more. It's up to you. You formed it anyway. Chen Xiang caressed her long black hair and laughed. Sister Yujie, you are so beautiful. Brat. Feng Yujie laughed and pinched his face. Give me those yusindan, I'll go sell them. Chen Xiang pass, said the yusindan to Feng Yujie, and after Feng Yujie received it, he tidied up his clothes and combed his hair, then rushed to Supreme Hall to issue the notice. Chen Xiang stretched his back, washed up, and then went to find Luo Tianjun. Chen Xiang stretched his back, washed up, and then went to find Luo Tianjun. Luo Tianjun was originally resting, but the moment he heard Chen Xiang call for him, he immediately opened the door and walked out. You're up so early. What's the matter? Luo Tianjun held a bottle gourd in her hand. This bottle gourd was emitting traces of a very strong divine soul energy. When Chen Xiang saw the bottle gourd, he knew that it was one of Luo Tianjun's more important divine tools. Hall Master, I would like to ask if it is easy to acquire Jinyang Gold Ginseng S here. Chen Xiang wanted to improve the Yusindan. He said that the Xinjiang gold ginseng that he needed to add are Xinjiang gold ginseng. Luo Tianjun thought for a moment, then said, "There are some, but it's not common. If you want to buy it, you have to prepare at least 150,000 Xin Yuan stone, or even 200,000. Although this kind of divine medicine is very strong, the healing effect is very strong, and some Zhongpin Dan would even add this kind of medicine." As long as there was it, Chen Xiang believed that as long as he bought it patiently, he would be able to get it. Returning back to the pill refining room, Chen Xiang took out the Yusindan's medicinal ingredients and used the remaining spirit liquid he had to replicate. What surprised him was that he could only replicate 2 portions of the elixir. He had expected him to replicate at most 1 portion of the elixir. 8 Yusindan. If they are sold at a low price, they should be sold out very quickly. Chen Xiang took a deep breath and started concocting pills. Although the spirit liquid was already used up, Feng Yujie was willing to cultivate a live slain method with him, and would condense the blue bead. When the time came, he only needed to purchase enough ingredients, and he would be able to use this bead to replicate. After refining 2 batches of Yusindan, it was already afternoon. Chen Xiang walked out of the pill refining room and saw Feng Yujie sitting at a table. Chen Xiang saw that Feng Yujie's face was filled with a sweet smile and asked, "Is there any good news for me?" "Those Yusindan have been sold. 1 pellet of the 80,000 Xin Yuan stone, we now have another 300,000 Xin Yuan stone." Feng Yujie laughed. "Besides, I've also acquired 2 of the divine medicines that I need. I'm just short 3 of them." Chen Xiang laughed. "I also have some good news for you." After he finished speaking, he took out an exquisite jade box and opened it. There were a few jewel-like Yusindan inside. 8 pills. Feng Yujie shouted. "Today, I copied a portion of the Yusindan's medicine. Oh right, when you go tomorrow, help me paste a notice that I want to purchase the Xinjiang gold ginseng. I plan to merge the Xinjiang gold ginseng into the original Yusindan's medicine." Chen Xiang sealed the jade box and placed it in Feng Yujie's hands. Feng Yujie nodded his head. "This way we will be able to gather the required divine medicines very quickly. At that time we can use the spirit pearl to duplicate them." Chen Xiang laughed. "We will begin now. By tomorrow morning we should be able to duplicate 2 pills." Feng Yujie's seductive eyes lightly glanced at Chen Xiang and chuckled. "What a naughty little brat. Then let's start now." On the second day, Feng Yujie indeed condensed 2 light blue spirit orbs from her small mouth. She gave them to Chen Xiang, because the first one she condensed yesterday was left as a souvenir, so she did not use it for Chen Xiang to copy. "Today, I'll go with you to the Supreme Hall to take a look. I don't have much to do today either," Chen Xiang said. Feng Yujie nodded, then walked out of the room and left the courtyard hand in hand with Chen Xiang. When they were walking out, they were coincidentally seen by Luo Tianjun. Luo Tianjun shook his head and laughed. "These 2 youngsters love each other so much and even said that they are just ordinary friends. Hall Master, should we register them for the Sovereign Conference?" Oldest Gu hurriedly ran back from outside. They had been away for the past 2 days, so they went to prepare. As they were the main forces of the 10th Hall, the compet. 1. Tian of the Dan Hall was about to begin. Luo Tianjun already knew that Feng Yujie knew how to refine Yusindan, and he could be considered a pill god. Although Chen Xiang had the divine pill formula, he couldn't use it for the compet. 1. Tian, since he was a bone-level Dan, so he was not a pill god yet. We'll talk about it when he gets back. He definitely has to partic. 1p8. If he can't partic 1p8 in the compet 1. Tian, then help him register for the sacred pills. Luo Tianjun said, "Now I can help your junior sister register to partic 1p8 in the shopping dance compet 1 Tian." And Feng Yujie arrived at Supreme Hall and asked the old man at the counter for a few notices. The old man was very willing to gift them this notice to save them a lot of Shin Yuan stones. Why are there so many people here today, especially at Sword Hall? Chen Xiang said softly. With a single glance, he saw disciples dressed in Sword Hall robes. Of the 4 great supreme palaces in the Supreme Divine Palace, only the Dan Hall didn't have uniform, so you could tell at a glance that they were from the Dan Hall S. The old man behind the counter laughed. The compet. 1. Tie-in of the Supreme Palace that occurs once every 100 years is about to begin. The outstanding disciples in the various halls have all come back one after another, because this is a great opportunity for them to come into contact with the divine nations, especially with those from the heaven realm. Luo Tianjun had said before, as long as they could get into the top 3, they would have the chance to have a meal with the members of the royal family in the divine nations, and even enter the imperial palace to communicate with the outstanding royalty. Chen Xiang was still not sure what group she was going to join, and Feng Yujie was definitely going to join. She came to the Supreme Divine Palace because she wanted to find a way to contact the divine nations. After Feng Yujie finished writing the contents of the notice, he and Chen Xiang went to look for a place to post. As soon as they entered the crowd of people, it attracted the attention of many. Seeing that Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie did not have any uniform attire, and the notice that was posted was for purchasing medicinal herbs, he confirmed that they were disciples from Dan Hall. I never thought that there would be 2 more young alchemists. I wonder where they came from. All the young faces of the alchemists can be counted with one hand, and they all have deep backgrounds. A man wearing a black cloak said. On the back of his black cloak was drawn a very imposing fist. He definitely doesn't have a backer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here to purchase medicinal herbs. A middle-aged man sneered. The man from before said, "Look, the people from the first sword hall have gone over. This guy from the first sword hall always likes to cause trouble, and he also really likes to tease the female disciples who just entered the Supreme Divine Palace." Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie never thought that they would be watched by someone like that, they only felt that it was weird. After all, they were people who had experienced many things, especially Feng Yujie. "Little girl, did you just join the Supreme Divine Palace? Which hall are you from?" A handsome man with long hair that fluttered in the wind walked over with a very annoying smile on his face. Feng Yujie burst out in laughter, and someone actually called her little sister. She replied softly, "I'm from the 10th hall." Feng Yujie burst out in laughter, and someone actually called her little sister. She replied softly, "I'm from the 10th hall." Although the 10th hall brought a cross, their overall strength was still at number 2. When Chen Xiang heard about it from the 3 Gu brothers, he thought that they were just bragging, but he found out later on that it was true. The 10th hall. Knowing that Feng Yujie was from the 10th hall, the man let out a hollow laugh. The 10th hall's Luo Tianjun was extremely famous, he definitely knew of him. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Isn't he the person who defeated Song Purring with one sword strike? He went through the trial and entered the Dan Hall. I never expected to enter the Dan Hall. His sword arts are very terrifying. I thought he would enter the Sword Hall." Song Peng's miserable defeat was a very famous event in the Sword Hall. Many disciples thought that the one who defeated Song Peng was someone who excelled in the way of the sword, but who would have thought that they would actually join the Dan Hall? You defeated Song Peng and you still want to challenge Zhang Zhua, but looking at your current state, you shouldn't be such a crazy person. The long-haired man sized up Chen Xiang. He had developed a very strong interest towards him. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were both worried because he and Zhang Zhua had their own contradictions, and now that Zhang Zhua and Zhang Zhua were both dead, if someone connected them together, Chen Xiang might be in trouble. As long as there was no conclusive evidence, Chen Xiang would never admit it no matter what. He was confident that he had done it cleanly and would not leave any traces behind, unless Su Lingfei and her grandmother exposed him. Chen Xiang slightly smiled. I wasn't crazy in the first place, but if someone was crazy in front of me, I would be more crazy than him. With that, Chun Xiang pointed to the notice paper and asked, Senior brother, I wonder if you have seen this divine medicine before. I've heard of it, but not seen it. The long-haired man shook his head slightly, then returned to his own junior and junior brothers. Originally, he had wanted to find some fun, but he knew that the disciples of the 10th Dan Hall were not to be trifled with, and the two young disciples in particular were extremely important to Luo Tianjun. Just as everyone turned to look at Chun Xiang and his group, they suddenly heard a trembling not too far away. F***ck off. A thunderous roar exploded, shaking everything endlessly. Someone was actually fighting here, and there was even such a large commotion. The old man behind the counter was also surprised and a bit angry. He immediately went over. Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie also went to watch the commotion. He saw that the floor had already been broken into pieces. The thick and solid stone floor had been broken into pieces. A middle-aged man was lying on top of the broken pieces. This middle-aged man's chest had been stepped on. Xiao Chou. Chun Xiang was ecstatic. Xiao Chou had returned. He did not expect that he was the one who did it. If not for the urgent arrival of the old man at the counter, Xiao Chou might have continued to step on him. What's going on? The old man behind the counter asked with a dark expression. Xiao Chou was still the same as before, with A.S.H.I. plus New York skull. Currently, he looked very mature. He did not seem like someone who would get angry casually, so there must be a reason why he was so angry right now. Chun Xiang saw a red-clothed female standing not far from him. Her face was filled with worry, but when she saw that the old man standing at the counter had arrived, she anxiously walked over and timidly said, The elder is. This man is the one who bullied me. He was in chaos. Feel free to touch me. Seeing the lady, Chun Xiang could not help but laugh. He never thought that Xiao Chou had finally awakened, and that he already had someone he liked. Xiao Chou was Chun Xiang's disciple, and also the descendant of the Herculean god. Xiao Chou had a very powerful divine veins legacy. His strength was very scary, and like Chun Xiang, he was also a very abnormal guy. Now, he even entered the Supreme Divine Palace, becoming an outstanding disciple amongst the Soul Hall. The old man looked at the middle-aged man whose chest had been broken by Xiao Chou and asked coldly, Is this true, elder? I was careless. The old man frowned as he saw the flash of light in the middle-aged man's eyes. He said in a cold tone, Be quiet. Yes. As soon as the middle-aged man admitted to it, the old man waved his hand and the middle-aged man disappeared. The Supreme Divine Palace's S.P.A.C. was extremely S.T.U.R.D.Y. Even a few elders who used the power of S.P.A.C. could not easily travel through S.P.A.C. However, the old man had already made them disappear with a wave of his hand. I'll let you go this time. There won't be a next time. The old man said to Xiao Chou, who was sweating profusely. He did not know if it was because Chun Xiang was Chun Xiang's friend that he would let him go. Little fellows who have just returned, please do not cause trouble at my place. The one who disappeared after making trouble here over the years is not the same guy from before. With these words, the old man returned to his own counter, leisurely reading a book. Xiao Chou, wait for me in the 10th hall of the Dan Hall. Xiao Chou's sound transmission suddenly came to Xiao Chou's mind. He was pleasantly surprised, and then, while dragging the red-clothed female, he hurriedly left the Supreme Hall. After Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie finished posting, they returned to the 10th hall. Returning back to Hall 10, Chun Xiang already saw Xiao Chou and the pure red-clothed female in the hall. Master, it's really you. Seeing Chun Xiang, Xiao Chou anxiously walked out of the hall and grabbed both of Chun Xiang's arms. He was extremely excited. What, do you think I died in that trial? Chun Xiang laughed and patted Xiao Chou's head. You have become so powerful, Maybe I can't even beat you anymore. Master, let me introduce you. This is my wife, Zhu Siqing. Qing'er, quickly call for master. Xiao Chou pulled Zhu Siqing over. He's the master that you and I have been talking about often. Qing'er greets master and mistress. Although Zhu Siqing was a little shy, she was very meticulous and noticed Feng Yujie, who was walking over with Chen Xiang. Mistress, isn't that the goddess of the 9 heavens? Master, you and her. Xiao Chou saw that Feng Yujie's face had changed, and did not continue the topic. It looks like Xiao Chou knew a lot of things. Xiao Chou laughed dryly. Qing'er, you have a lot of masters, I don't think this is the case. Feng Yujie purposely pretended to be fierce. Why can't I be your mistress? Don't tell me that you think I'm not worthy of your master. Well, you really are. Xiao Chou did not dare believe it. He knew how powerful Feng Yujie was. He knew that Feng Yujie was a powerful existence who had inherited a large portion of the 9 divine kings' power, and was actually on good terms with his master. Feng Yujie held on to Chen Xiang's arm, and laughed tenderly. What do you think? Why aren't you looking at Qing'er? I could tell at a glance. All right, disciple pays his respects to mistress. Xiao Chou scratched his head and shouted as he pretended to bow. Chen Xiang had many questions for him. Especially how did he manage to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, but he did not go through the trial. Chen Xiang had many questions for him. Especially how did he manage to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, but he did not go through the trial. Xiao Chou could already tell what question Chen Xiang was going to answer from his expression. Invited Xiao Chou and Zhu Siqing to sit in the hall and pour them some tea, causing them to feel extremely flattered. As a junior, especially Zhu Siqing, she was a little nervous at being treated by her master like this. Master, how long have you been here? I've been waiting for you for so many years, but I haven't even seen you. I thought you died during the trial. Xiao Chou chuckled. You are indeed resilient, you still won't die even like this, and you even came in. Hearing Xiao Chou's words, Chen Xiang really wanted to go over and slap his head hard. What a joke! How could I have died so casually? Chen Xiang took a deep breath, then asked, What exactly happened to you that you came in without going through a trial? During the trial, I was worried about you all day, thinking that you would die during a trial. Xiao Chou laughed. To be honest, if I am allowed to undergo this trial, I might really die inside. After I enter, I can only hold on until the second round, and I won't be able to hold on anymore, so right now I really admire you, Master, for being able to pass this Ned trial. Chen Xiang laughed complacently. Otherwise, would I have been your master? Quickly tell me, how did you come to this Supreme Divine Palace? I am very jealous that you entered without going through the trial. Thinking back to that trial, Chen Xiang felt like vomiting. That's because I suddenly encountered the ancestors of the Herculean God tribe during the trial. Because of his accommodation, the Supreme Divine Palace's palace master made an exception and allowed me to live, so I couldn't be considered to have said through the trial. Xiao Chou laughed somewhat embarrassedly. Chen Xiang was a little confused. He took a sip of tea and asked, Is your giant God clan ancestor very powerful? To be able to make the Supreme Divine Palace master make an exception, you need a very high status. He's an elder in Supreme Divine Palace. He's also my hall master. He's the hall master of Soul Hall's first hall. A while ago, I went out with him to gain experience, and after seeing this super God realm, Qing'er is his granddaughter. Xiao Chou looked at Qing'er and smiled. From their eyes, one could tell that they had deep feelings for each other. So that's how it is. Chen Xiang nodded. Feng Yujie laughed. Chen Xiang, your disciple already has a wife. Are you not going to give Qing'er a present? Chen Xiang thought about it carefully. He didn't have anything that was suitable for Zhu Siqing, because Qing Er's grandfather was a very powerful hall master, and also a supreme god of the Herculean god tribe. Qing Er, here. Feng Yujie saw that Chen Xiang was startled, and took out a small red wooden case. Thank you, mistress, master. Zhu Siqing stood up and quickly thanked him. Chen Xiang did not have anything he could take out, but Feng Yujie did have something he could take out. Chen Xiang was very curious about what it was and laughed. Open it and take a look. Zhu Siqing's face was flushed red. She did not expect Xiao Chao's master to be so easy to talk to give her a present the moment they met. Just now, he had even poured her a cup of tea. He opened the small red wooden box. Inside was a pill. This is the Zhongping Dan. Xiao Chou was a little surprised. He had originally thought that they were just Xiaoping Dan, but to him and Zhu Siqing, Xiaoping Dan's gifts were already considered good. After all, they were not like Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie, who could easily sell their pellets and quickly earn Shen Yuan stone. Feng Yujie laughed. Just a little kindness, Qing'er, you must use it well. Zhu Siqing nodded immediately and thanked Feng Yujie once again. Xiao Chou, have you learned anything in Soul Hall? Chen Xiang was rather curious about the matters in the Soul Hall because the Soul Hall could hunt powerful divine beasts. After suddenly refining the divine soul of the divine beasts, they could allow humans to integrate into the beast's soul as their innate divine soul, and could also obtain the unique and powerful innate ability of those divine beasts. The bones needed to be fused with this type of beast's divine soul, so Chen Xiang wanted to understand more about this matter right now. When he had the bones in the future, he would ask Xiao Chou to help him create a good beast's divine soul. Xiao Chou scratched his head and laughed. There is a lot of knowledge to learn in Soul Hall, especially the soul refining technique. It is very difficult. Qing'er is better at this than me. I have learnt everything from her now. Master, if you need beast divine soul right now, Qing'er and I can maybe work together to help you get one good. Chen Xiang laughed. I do not need it now, but when I need it, I will look for it myself. When I find it, I will then let you guys refine it. When that time comes, it will be very easy for me to fuse it, right? Xiao Chou nodded his head. As long as you refine a secret method, you will be able to perfectly integrate it into your divine deity, and will be able to unleash a very strong power. So, Master, it would be best if you could find a superior one when you are searching for a beast's divine soul. I will. Chen Xiang was currently only a lower god with 2 souls. If he wanted to become the supreme god, he would need 8 souls and 8 divine deity. In addition, he still had to cultivate bones, so that his own body would have divine deity as well, and then merge with the divine soul, so that the strength possessed by his fleshly body would be as strong as that of his divine soul. Master, how strong are you now? It's been so long that I can't tell. Do you think you're a god? Xiao Chou suddenly asked, his face full of curiosity. Chen Xiang smiled and said, What about you? The feeling you give me is that you're a 3-soul, 3-divine deity intermediate god, right? After I entered the Supreme Divine Palace, with the help of Qing'er's grandfather, I used the bloodline of my Herculean god tribe to grow at a very fast pace. Of course, the main thing is that Qing'er's grandfather gave me 2 sets of very good divine soul for me to fuse with. I only managed to cultivate 2 sets of divine deity. Xiao Chou could not be considered to have advanced by leaps and bounds, because he had already been in the Supreme Divine Palace for dozens of years, and because Chen Xiang was in the trial grounds, he had lost all these decades of time. Right now, I am just a lesser Empyrean god. Chen Xiang sighed. I am not your opponent. No, Master has always been very powerful. Although he is not as strong as me now, he will be able to catch up very soon. I believe in Master's strength. Although Xiao Chou said it modestly, he had a complacent smile on his face. Master, how long have you been training? I heard from the hall master that it's extremely scary inside. Especially at the end, it's almost impossible to pass that test. Xiao Chou asked. He found it hard to understand why Chen Xiang had said, because he understood the rules later on. Especially those countless traps, as long as he fell in once, he would be able to start anew. It wasn't too long ago, just a few years. Compared to the time I spent outside, the time inside was quite ludicrous. After I finished the trial, decades had already said outside. Chen Xiang said, the only reason I can pass was due to luck. Xiao Chou did not believe it. He knew that it was impossible to pass by luck, and that it required a large amount of strength. Chen Xiang was indeed relying on luck. If not for the fact that he met Yuer, the little kitten from Beast Divine Palace, he didn't even know how he would have died. The reason that Xiao Chou rushed back from the outside was to partic I.P.8 in the 100-year large compet I.Tian of the Supreme Palace. This was also to broaden the horizons of the divine nations, and Xiao Chou also wanted to go to those places. The reason that Xiao Chou rushed back from the outside was to partic 1P8 in the 100-year large compet Tian of the Supreme Palace. This was also to broaden the horizons of the divine nations, and Xiao Chou also wanted to go to those places. Chen Xiang was only creating Yusin Dan now. In his opinion, it was not enough for him to use this pill to partic 1P8 in the compet Tian unless he could purchase a Zhenyang gold ginseng and improve it. If he could refine a Xiaoping Dan much better than the Yusin Dan, he was confident that he would win. Xiao Chou and Chen Xiang chatted for a while before he and Zhu Xiqing finally left. Sister Feng, what pill did you give to Qing Er earlier? Chen Xiang knew that it was a Zhongping Dan, but he didn't know its name. I refined it some time ago. It cannot be considered a very good Zhongping Dan, but it is much better than a Xiaoping Dan. Now I am also prepared to use your method to improve this pill. Feng Yujie laughed. She was familiar with the techniques of the original source refining, and knew that using this method, one could fuse the medicinal ingredients that were difficult to fuse. Chen Xiang laughed. That brat Xiao Chou was so KY in front of me earlier. I cannot lose to him, if not the little guy will quickly become arrogant to the heavens. Feng Yujie laughed. Then let's work harder. Because they had nothing else to do, Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie had long since went into the house to practice the alive slain methods condensing spirit pearl. Early the next morning, Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were still wrapped up in bed when they suddenly heard Luo Tianjun shouting outside. Brat, little girl, there's someone looking for you. They're here to sell divine medicines. Usually, it was Chen Xiang's turn to call them Luo Tianjun, but today, it was Luo Tianjun's turn to call them. Feng Yujie got up from bed in a hurry, simple enough to tidy up his clothes, then walked out of his room to the hall, where a black and white-haired middle-aged man sat. Chen Xiang walked in at this time, and when he saw this middle-aged man, he had a very strange feeling. This middle-aged man gave off a very ancient aura. Wearing a black robe, he was the boxing hall's uniform. Zhenyang gold ginseng, 200,000 Shin yuan stone. When the middle-aged man saw Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie walking in, he immediately raised the price, and did not say anything unnecessary. On Feng Yujie's notice, it said that he bought it with 150,000 Shin yuan stone, so it was normal for the middle-aged man to come here to bargain. Quite a few. Feng Yujie asked. He knew that it would be a little less. When Feng Yujie asked this question, the middle-aged man immediately stood up and prepared to leave. All right, 200,000 is 200,000. Feng Yujie immediately shouted out. Although it was a little expensive, as long as they could purchase it, she and Chen Xiang could make an unlimited copy. The middle-aged man took the storage bag from Feng Yujie and counted it carefully before taking out the Zhenyang gold ginseng. The Zhenyang gold ginseng seemed to have been carved out of gold. It emitted a kind of gentle sunlight, and when held in the hand, it also felt a burning sensation. This is a Zhenyang gold ginseng. Outside the courtyard, Luo Tianjun saw Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie praising, and shouted. With Luo Tianjuan's words, Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were not as determined as they were before as they immediately reached an agreement. The middle-aged man quickly walked out of the 10th hall. A price of 200,000 is considered normal. Right now, even 150,000 Shin Yuan stone is hard to accept. Luo Tianjun laughed. He did not ask what Chen Xiang wanted this Zhenyang gold ginseng to do, because Chen Xiang had told him before that he wanted to create a divine pill formula to partic. 1p8 in the compet. 1. Tie-in at Dan Hall. Brat, you can now register to partic. 1p8. Which group do you think you should join? Luo Tianjun asked. This group of shopping Dan. Chen Xiang replied. How many days do we still have left? 3 more months. Luo Tianjun gave Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie a fruit eat. Most of the disciples that leave will be back in these 3 months. 3 months was more than enough for Chen Xiang. Feng Yujie asked, Hall Master, when can we register? Is it us who should go? Luo Tianjun laughed. Little girl, I've already gotten the oldest Gu to help you register. The one who is partic. 1p. Aiding in the shopping Dan group is us, 10th hall, other than you and me, everyone else has already registered to partic. 1p8. Hall Master, can you change it? I want to join the Zhongping Dan group. Feng Yujie smiled sweetly. You guys are underestimating me. Luo Tianjun was startled, then chuckled. Of course you can change it. We have indeed underestimated you, we are truly sorry. Chen Xiang was also surprised, but thinking about the Zhongping Dan that Feng Yujie gave to Zhu Xiqing yesterday, coupled with the fact that she had obtained the heavenly alchemy, refining the Zhongping Dan was extremely easy for her. Hall Master, did you prepare the medicinal ingredients yourself? Chen Xiang asked. Of course I'm preparing it myself, so if you can't find the medicinal ingredients, then don't partic. 1p8. Luo Tianjun laughed. I think all of you will be preparing the ingredients needed. At that time, I will need to prepare a set of ingredients for the pill formulas that I am most familiar with, and the other pills will be provided by the Dan Hall. I'll join when the time comes. I'm not sure which group I'll be joining. Luo Tianjun sighed. If I partic 1p8, I would have to bring out the things that can be lowered. Chen Xiang was puzzled and asked, Hall Master, aren't you guys the only ones who are in the Zhongping Dan group? Feng Yujie shook his head. Of course not. Above the Zhongping Dan, there is still the Supreme God pellet, and after the Supreme God pellet, there is the King grade, Heaven grade, Saint grade, and finally, there is the Sovereign Profound pellet, which is extremely difficult to refine. Luo Tianjun laughed. Little girl is right, I am considering whether I should join this group of Zhongping Dan or not. Chen Xiang did not know that there was still such a high-leveled pill in the Zhongping Dan. If it was really like that, then what kind of divine medicine and pill formulas would be required to refine it? Luo Tianjun being able to refine a type-in Dan caused Feng Yujie to be secretly shocked, because she knew the level of being able to refine this kind of pill. The herbs that Feng Yujie had purchased were all from Shopping Dan, but she had to register to join the group of Zhongping Dan. After Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie entered the room, Chen Xiang asked, Sister Feng, the low-grade divine medicines that you bought are for refining Shopping Dan-s. Feng Yujie laughed tenderly. Originally, but not now. All the medicinal ingredients can evolve, after buying them all, and then use the spirit orb to give birth to them, and then evolve to a Zhongping medicine. At that time I will directly use it to refine a Zhongping Dan. Of course, refining this pill requires over 600 other Zhongping Holy Dan-s. I have already gathered all of them. Chen Xiang felt that it was very troublesome, because he felt that when he refined a large amount of Zhongping Dan in the future, he would first need to refine a large amount of Zhongping Holy Dan. Therefore, he planned to find a way to solve this problem from the heavenly alchemy. Chen Xiang placed the spirit orb into a bowl of water and let the spirit orb dissolve it, causing the water in the bowl to turn light blue. Then, he cut the Xinjiang gold ginseng in half and placed it inside the bowl. Chen Xiang placed the spirit orb into a bowl of water and let the spirit orb dissolve it, causing the water in the bowl to turn light blue. Then, he cut the Xinjiang gold ginseng in half and placed it inside the bowl. The Xinjiang gold ginseng quickly reacted and began to absorb the blue substance in the water. New parts of the Xinjiang gold ginseng began to grow out of the wound, just like a gecko with a short tail. Feng Yujie was not unfamiliar with this scene. She had often seen LV Qilian and the others do this before. The originally light blue water quickly became transparent, and the cut-off Xinjiang gold ginseng did not completely grow any broken parts. Seems like I need 2 of them. This Xinjiang gold ginseng is different from the other low-rank divine medicines. It absorbs a lot of energy. Chen Xiang placed another blue spirit orb into the water and the spirit orb released a blue energy. It quickly melted, and the blue energy was absorbed by the 2 Xinjiang gold ginseng. In a few blinks of the eye, the 2 halves of the Xinjiang gold ginseng in the bowl turned into 2 complete halves, emitting a dazzling light. Not bad, you earned 200,000 Xin Yuan stone so quickly. I wonder if the refined pellets could be sold at this price. Don't lose out. Feng Yujie saw that the Xinjiang gold ginseng was copied out of her own spirit pearl, giving her a sense of accomplishment. I still have 2 spiritual beads. Let's try and see if I can replicate the 3 types of low-rank divine medicine from the Yusin Dan. Chen Xiang took out other Yusin Dan's medicinal herbs and began to refine them. With just a try, they had seen how big of a difference there was between the 3 medicines of Yusin Dan and that of Xinjiang gold ginseng. 2 spirit pearls could actually be duplicated into 2. If the Xinjiang gold ginseng successfully fused with the Yusin Dan's medicinal ingredients, then the effects of this pellet should be considered the best in the healing category of Xiaoping Dan. Feng Yujie exclaimed, "Are you going to start now?" "Yes." Chen Xiang nodded. He could not wait any longer. Just as Chen Xiang was about to enter the underground chamber to concoct pills, he suddenly heard Luo Tianjuan shout, "2 young men, come out quickly. There's something urgent." Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie had no choice but to go out immediately. "Hall Master, what is the matter?" Chen Xiang asked. "Oldest Gu is in trouble, let's go take a look." This was sent by Gu Lao San just now. Luo Tianjun shook the communication jade symbol paper in his hand. "I heard that he had a conflict with some fellows from the other Dan Hall. He told us to go over and support him, and especially wanted us to let you go." "Then let's hurry up." Chen Xiang laughed. "So it was because of some trouble with the other Dan Hall. I had thought that something big had happened." This made Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie a little worried. What big thing can happen to my Luo Tianjuan's disciple? Even if something bad happens, I can help them deal with it. Luo Tianjun said heroically as he strode out of the door. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie anxiously followed. Walking on the road, Chen Xiang said, "Isn't this the path to Dan Hart Pavilion? Could it be the Dan Hart Pavilion?" Luo Tianjun laughed. "I guessed it, those 3 brothers are inside the Dan Hart Pavilion these days. Of course, the other old brats from the other Dan Halls will also be gathered there, waiting for those fellows who return from the outside world, and scold each other whenever they meet one another. This is an event that happens once every 100 years. The corner of Chen Xiang's mouth twitched. It's so boring." Luo Tianjun laughed out loud. "If you had lived as long as them, you would also have done such a silly thing." Sure enough, when he approached the Dan Hart Pavilion, Chen Xiang heard his scolding voice. "Old turtle, you're a turtle who has been cowering for several 100 years. Now that you've appeared, not only can you bite people with your mouth, you can also fart. Are you hiding in the turtle S8? or do you only know how to fart on your talks and mouth? This was the voice of the oldest Gu. It sounded very energetic, as though he was using all his strength to curse. After he finished cursing, a burst of laughter followed. It seemed like there were a lot of bored people watching the battle. You old bastard, have you forgotten about the matter that you lost to me 3,000 years ago? Back then, when you lost, you called me Grandpa, and many people present heard it. Old bastard, Gu, have you forgotten about the matter that you lost to me 3,000 years ago? The person that was scolded by the oldest Gu immediately replied. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie couldn't help but laugh. This oldest Gu actually had such a dark history. Oldest Gu immediately roared out, "Old turtle, 2,000 years ago, when you lost to me, you knelt down and kowtowed to me, calling me ancestor. Everyone present also saw this, but now, even if you want to recognize me as your ancestor, I will ***king reject unfilial descendants like you." Chen Xiang found it hard to imagine that 3 Gu brothers had scolded him like this for a few days while partic 1p. aiding in that Pil Dao debate. Normal people could not do such a thing. Oldest Gu, what did you ask us to do? Luo Tianjun brought Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie to the cursing ground. The crowd, who were originally laughing, immediately quietened down. After all, Luo Tianjun was a top existence amongst the Dan Hall. Even in the entire Supreme Divine Palace, he had a very high position. This bastard said that there are no young people in our 10th hall. I want to let them see the young people in our 10th hall. Not only young people, but also young girls. When the oldest Gu saw Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie had arrived, he anxiously pulled them over. You two, quickly show your tokens. Let this old turtle, who has shrunk his head for hundreds of years, see if there are any youngsters in our 10th hall. Oldest Gu pushed Chen Xiang and his sister into the middle of the cursing ground, leaving Chen Xiang and his sister extremely speechless. This 3 Gu brothers told them to come due to an urgent matter. It was actually using them to slap someone else's face. Did you see that? This is our 10th hall's new disciple. Oldest Gu proudly swept his gaze across the other disciples of the Dan Hall, then arrogantly shouted, "If you have the guts, pull out your young people and let's see who's the strongest." Humph, our young disciple is currently in closed-door training. How could he have the time? I admit that there are young people in your 10th hall, but that doesn't mean they are powerful. Our young man has the ability to suppress them. The old man who was scolding oldest Gu earlier was not one to be outdone. Luo Tianjun laughed. The little imps from your group have never called you senior brothers before, right? Furthermore, they are so arrogant that they don't even put you in their eyes. Although they are a bit skilled, their hearts are simply too terrible. Second brother Gu laughed. You can't even call all of you as trash, but we can call all of you our brats over. What are you all so proud of? That brat probably hasn't even looked at you. The old man had no way of refuting him. He took a few deep breaths of anger and said unhappily, "That guy has the ability, he has the right to be arrogant. Your boy is very obedient, but he has no ability." Those who joined the Supreme Divine Palace were usually the old geezers from the Sword Hall. After obtaining enough resources, they were also interested in refining pills, so they started to learn alchemy and joined the Dan Hall. Those who joined the Supreme Divine Palace were usually the old geezers from the Sword Hall. After obtaining enough resources, they were also interested in refining pills, so they started to learn alchemy and joined the Dan Hall. That was why people like Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie, who looked very young, would normally not have much ability in the eyes of these old fellows, unless they were the children and elders of the Supreme Divine Palace. The oldest Gu was immediately angered. He knew that Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie both had decent foundations. Chen Xiang had already said the Dan Hart Pavilion's assessment, and Feng Yujie's Yusen Dan, that was still able to refine Xiaoping Dan, was already considered to be very good for youngsters. Seeing the old man say this, Luo Tianjun felt a little displeasure in his heart, and said to Feng Yujie, "Little girl, didn't you say that you want to register to Partic 1P8 in the group of Zhongping Dan's compet 1 Tian? Before Partic 1P8ing, you would have to undergo the examination in the Dan Hart Pavilion and pass the Dan Hart Pavilion's certification." Even the three Gu brothers didn't know about this, because Feng Yujie had only told Luo Tianjun about it not too long ago. After the elders from the other Dan Hall's present heard this, they all felt that it was impossible, because even the most outstanding youths from the Dan Hall's did not attempt to undergo the GOD's assessment. This kind of assessment was not easy, and for the young alchemist, refining a Zhongping Dan was still very difficult. Feng Yujie had already went through 2 examinations in the Dan Hart Pavilion before, the first of which was the Holy Pellet exam, and then she had obtained the Yusen Dan's medicinal formula. "Hall Master, I have yet to take the Xiaoping Dan's test," Feng Yujie said. If she said the Xiaoping Dan examination, then she would have the chance to choose the Zhongping Dan's recipe. If she said the Zhongping Dan's assessment, then she could choose the Shangping Dan's recipe. Luo Tianjun laughed. "Just directly take the Zhongping Dan examination. This way you can pick the Zhongping Dan's and their pill formulas, and you can directly skip the Xiaoping Dan's examination." Since he was already here, of course Feng Yujie would not decline. He took out his ident 1 Tai jade tablet and walked into the Dan Hart Pavilion. Oldest Gu laughed out loud. "Did you see that? Our little ghost is going to take the GOD's pill GOD's assessment. As for your little ghost, for the sake of not bullying others in the lower GOD of pills group, none of you dare to take the GOD's assessment, you are just a bunch of cowards." Was a little worried that Feng Yujie would not have enough medicinal ingredients to Partic 1P8 in the compet 1 Tian after he finishes his examination. Don't worry about her, she has been in the Supreme Divine Palace for a period of time, and has some knowledge about the rules here, she should be well prepared. Luo Tianjun said, "When the time comes, she'll need help. I can help her gather enough Zhongping medicine." There were only 3 months until the Dan Hall's compet 1 Tian, which should be enough for Feng Yujie. Feng Yujie had refined Zhongping Dan before, and he had even given that pellet to Xiao Chao's wife, Zhu Siqing. Therefore, Chen Xiang was very confident in Feng Yujie, and was sure to pass the examination. "I want to see if she can really pass it. Refining Zhongping Dan's is not child's play. If she can refine it, I will use 10 times the Shen Yuan stone to buy it." The old man still did not believe that Feng Yujie could refine a Zhongping Dan. Just don't go back on your word when the time comes. The worst Zhongping Dan would cost at least 500,000, and you would need at least 5 million to use 10 times the price. Can you even get that many Shen Yuan stone from a turtle's head that you've shrunk for hundreds of years? The oldest Gu said with a smile. "I was in closed-door training, and was never afraid of any challenges." The old man said angrily, "It's only 5 million, I can still afford it, as long as she can refine it." Luo Tianjun patted Chen Xiang's shoulder and asked, "Brat, what about you? You have been obtaining the Xiaoping Dan's pill formula for a while, how is your progress?" There was no longer any pressure for Chen Xiang to be able to refine a Yusen Dan. If he was going to carry out an assessment, then no one would be able to refine a Xiaoping Dan before the assessment. Now that Feng Yujie was going to refine a Zhongping Dan, he could use the Yusen Dan to conduct an examination. "I want to take the test too." This way, the 2 young men who had just joined the 10th Hall were considered to be pill GODs. Although they were not powerful in their eyes for the time being, they were still good seedlings. If they were to cultivate well, they would definitely become outstanding gods in the future. Chun Xiang also had the Yusin Dan's medicinal ingredients on him, which were copied out by him and Feng Yujie using spirit orbs. If he said the examination, he could choose the Zhongping Dan's pill formula. Using the Chaos Divine Eye, he would be able to see the pill formulas inside the secret jade plate. At that time, he would definitely be satisfied. Then go. Luo Tianjun pushed Chun Xiang and let him enter the Dan Hart Pavilion. The oldest Gu laughed. We are all bored anyway, let's just wait here for the results to come out. You guys can personally witness the kids in our 10th hall sing the examination, that's a good thing. I heard that when the other little ghosts from the other Dan hall came to take the examination, they chased away everyone nearby, worried that they would disturb us, haha. Humph. The old man who was arguing with the oldest Gu was indeed jealous. He had to admit, even though the Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie in the 10th hall were young alchemists, they did not become arrogant because of it. When Chun Xiang entered the Dan Hart Pavilion, the old man was currently entering the secret room with Feng Yujie. Elder, I want to take the test as well. Chun Xiang anxiously shouted. Oh, give me the jade token. You have to wait for her to finish before proceeding. You two can stay together in a pill refining room, and then I will supervise. The old man was not unfamiliar with Chun Xiang at all. He was the first one to know that Chun Xiang had obtained the bone-level Dan's pill formula, and Luo Tianjun had informed him before to not spread the news. It could be seen that Luo Tianjun's relations, Hi+P with him was not bad. I'll take it with her. Chun Xiang smiled at Feng Yujie and handed over the jade tablet to the old man. In order to carry out the Shopping Dan's examination, he had to prepare the medicinal ingredients himself. Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie had already prepared all the necessary preparations. Although the relations, Hi+P between the old man and Luo Tianjun was very good, he was very strict with the examination as he carefully examined Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie's medicinal ingredients. Just like last time, the pill furnaces used were all placed in this secret room, so it was nothing to Chun Xiang. As for Feng Yujie, she was a bit nervous because she was going to use the heavenly alchemy to refine pills, and this was the first time she was using the heavenly alchemy. Chun Xiang was already very familiar with refining Yusin Dan, so he wasn't nervous at all. Chun Xiang was already very familiar with refining Yusin Dan, so he wasn't nervous at all. What divine pill are you refining? The old man asked. He saw that Chun Xiang's medicinal ingredients did not look like bone-level Dan's, so he asked. Yusin Dan. Chun Xiang smiled. The old man looked at Feng Yujie and immediately understood. He nodded. That was why he knew that the Yusin Dan was Feng Yujie's. If Feng Yujie's Shopping Dan test was also meant to refine Yusin Dan, then Chun Xiang wouldn't be able to refine this kind of divine pill now. And now, Feng Yujie had directly skipped over the matter of Shopping Dan to refine the middle grade. Giving it to Chun Xiang to refine wouldn't be a problem. It wasn't considered a violation of the rules. Little girl, what divine pill are you refining? When the old man saw how nervous Feng Yujie was, he smiled benevolently at her. Relax. Regeneration Dan. Feng Yujie said. Oh, this is a pretty good kind of Zhongping Dan. Not only is it able to regrow the missing parts of its body, it is also able to recover the damaged divine soul from its substantial transformation. The old man was surprised, because the pill formula was Feng Yujie's own. Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie suddenly felt that since the old man was in charge of supervising the A.S. assessment, there would be a lot of benefits, because he knew what kind of ingredients to use to concoct the pill. Although he did not know the exact timing for entering the pill, at the very least, he had some understanding of the pill recipes, and only if he studied them carefully in this regard, he would be able to obtain the pill formulas. All right, I've finished my inspection. There won't be much problem. You can begin. The old man smiled and sat down on a chair by the wall. Chen Xiang looked at Feng Yujie's medicine. Other than a few divine medicines, there were also 2 big boxes of Shangpin Holy Danas, which numbered a few hundred. Sister Feng, the heavenly alchemy I said to you does not have the method to refine Zhongpin Dan. Do you plan on using the traditional method to refine it next, or the heavenly alchemy? Chen Xiang whispered to Feng Yujie. I know, that's why I wanted to give it a try. Maybe I can learn new techniques from them. Feng Yujie replied. She had already relaxed a lot, and was no longer as nervous as she was before. This was because with Chen Xiang by her side, she felt extremely safe. This kind of assessment did not have a time limit, so Chen Xiang planned to slow down a little and accompany Feng Yujie. Chen Xiang was the first one to start refining, while Feng Yujie had already done a thorough inspection and mental preparation before starting. Chen Xiang had already successfully refined 3 batches of Yusindan, so he was imitating the effects of Jinyang Gold Ginseng S while he refined them. Unknowingly, Chen Xiang had already entered the core formation stage. The old man looked at the 2 of them concocting pills with a calm expression, but he was thinking about many things in his heart. He realized that Feng Yujie's training method was completely different from last time, and just like Chen Xiang, he threw all the medicinal ingredients into the furnace in one go the moment he started to concoct pills. The most important thing about a pill formula was the order and timing in which the medicinal herbs would enter the furnace. This was the most crucial aspect of a pill formula, so even if one knew about the matching of the medicinal herbs, it would still be useless. Half a day has passed. Chen Xiang was able to refine it. This time, he did not hold it back and refined 4 Yusindan. The old man looked at the 4 Yusindan in his palms and exclaimed, Is this the heavenly alchemy? Chen Xiang nodded his head. Elder, you have good eyesight. The old man sighed, then laughed. Besides the heavenly alchemy, it's very hard to do. Feng Yujie had been very calm the entire time, and she was relieved as well. This meant that her anxiety had gone smoothly, and she only needed to wait patiently. Chen Xiang was still in the secret room. He sat on a chair in the corner with his eyes closed, quietly waiting for Feng Yujie to finish. 3 Gu brothers rolled up his sleeves as he argued with a group of white-haired old men, as if they were about to fight at any time. Although they were noisy to the point that their faces and ears were red, they did not start a fight in the end. Luo Tianjun leaned on a rock beside the entrance of the Dan Hart Pavilion and sat cross-legged on the ground. He crossed his arms over his chest and closed his eyes. 2 days had passed, and 3 Gu brothers had already scolded several groups of familiar people, but the old man who was arguing with oldest Gu had yet to leave. He had said that he would buy it for 10 times the price after Feng Yujie produced the result. Chen Xiang was originally meditating in the secret room, but he suddenly heard a weak sound. He opened his eyes and saw that Feng Yujie's pill furnace was slightly shaking. Is it time to condense the pill? This was Feng Yujie's first time using the heavenly alchemy to refine a pellet, and she was even refining a Zhongpin Dan, which was extremely difficult to do. For her to be able to hold on for 2 days meant that she was already nervous to the last stage. The old man's reaction was different from Chen Xiang's. He was shocked in his heart, and he was sure that Feng Yujie was using the heavenly alchemy as well. The speed at which he was refining the pellet was so fast that it shocked him. The Zhongpin Dan that Feng Yujie was refining was also very fast. If it was a normal method of refinement, it would take at least 3 to 5 days before he could start condensing the pellet. It was not Feng Yujie's first time refining such a pill. She had concocted 2 batches of pills in the past, so she was relatively familiar with the regeneration Dan, so she was confident that she could successfully complete the test using the heavenly alchemy. As the furnace started to shake, Feng Yujie's jade face was also covered in sweat. Chen Xiang was very clear about her current situation. It was a very critical moment, and if Feng Yujie was able to succeed in clearing it, then her mastery of heavenly alchemy would be even higher. It would be of great help to her in using the heavenly alchemy in the future. In the blink of an eye, 4 hours had passed, and the pill furnace had stopped shaking. Feng Yujie opened her eyes and took a deep breath. Her pale white face had also flushed red. Did it work? Chen Xiang asked with a smile. Of course it worked. It went smoothly. She was extremely grateful to Chen Xiang in her heart. She was now able to deeply understand the benefits of heavenly alchemy, and the fact that she was able to successfully create a regeneration dan with it showed that she had a good grasp of the heavenly alchemy. In the future, it would be much easier to use the heavenly alchemy to refine other divine pellet. Opening the pill furnace, there were 3 regeneration dans. Looking at the 3 divine pellets, the old man took a deep breath. Although the regeneration dan was not a high-quality Zhongping dan, its value was still around average, able to sell for 700,000 to 800,000. If it was a high-quality pellet, then selling it for $1 million would be fine. Feng Yujie used 3 pills in one go. He had fully utilized all of the medicinal ingredients, so the old man was extremely envious of this method of refining pills. The heavenly alchemy really lives up to its name. The old man sighed. You have all said. Come with me to pick your pill formulas. Was secretly happy that they were able to choose a pill formula together. She was also happy because when she heard what method Chen Xiang used to obtain the bone-level dan's pill formula, Chen Xiang was able to see through the seals on the jade plate. Was secretly happy that they were able to choose a pill formula together. She was also happy because when she heard what method Chen Xiang used to obtain the bone-level dan's pill formula, Chen Xiang was able to see through the seals on the jade plate. Feng Yujie was able to obtain the Zhongping dan's pill formulas. Now, she and Chen Xiang would follow the old man to the second floor of the Dan Heart Pavilion to choose the Zhongping dan's pill formulas. Entering a secret room that was sealed with many enchantments, Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie immediately saw many jade plates hanging on them. These were all the formulas of the Zhongping dan. Chen Xiang immediately activated Chaos Divine Eye the moment he came in, and carefully examined the contents of the jade tablet. Feng Yujie didn't have such a method. He could only pretend to look carefully and wait for the result. The old man was already used to this sort of thing, so he could only wait patiently. There are a few pill formulas that look pretty good, I just read them from the introduction. I don't know much about the specifics, let me tell you. Do you know about these Zhongping dan? Chen Xiang told Feng Yujie the names of several types of divine pills. After Feng Yujie heard them, he replied, These are all pretty good, but we can only choose between 2. I'll think about which 2 to choose. After a while, Feng Yujie sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. Among the few Zhongping dan that you mentioned, these 2 are of relatively special effects. The other ones are all used to raise the mysterious power, strengthen the physical body, and heal one's injuries. Chen Xiang understood, although Yusin Dan-s could be used to heal injuries, their effects were not as good as other pill formulas. Among the divine pills, regardless of the grade, there were all kinds of healing, strengthening divine powers, strengthening the physical body, etc. Most of them were of average efficacy. Only a few of them had very strong effects, but the pill formulas were all in the hands of a small number of alchemy gods. Feng Yujie had this kind of pill formula. Her previous regeneration dan was an extremely good healing pill formula. Chen Xiang told Feng Yujie the location of the spirit-connecting pill, jade tablet, and told her to go get it while he took out the spirit-absorbing pill. Even the mind pellet was a kind of magical pellet, not to enhance one's strength or cure the poison, but to make 2 pellets, and then both of them would drip their own blood on these 2 pellets. Afterwards, the 2 of them would have a heart-to-heart feeling and could communicate with each other at an extremely fast speed. Even if there was a very strong SPAC ban, it still wouldn't be able to contain the mind pill. The drawback was that after consuming the mind pill, the duration of the pill would be limited and not permanent. Eating this kind of pellet would allow one to become transparent, and would even be able to hide away one's aura for a period of time. Feng Yujie was interested in the divine concealment pellet, which could evolve into a pellet that even upper heavenly G.O.D. with 9 divine deity would find hard to swallow, so if he ate a high-quality concealment pellet, even a small part of him would find it hard to discover. The drawback of this spirit concealment pill was that one could not use too much power while invisible, otherwise it would destroy the medicinal energy flowing through the body. However, it could also be considered a type of divine pill with a special ability. Chen Xiang waited for a while after Feng Yujie took the jade tablet from him before he took it out. They couldn't take it out at the same time, in case the old man discovered something. "What kind of pills are these?" the old man asked in curiosity. Last time, Chen Xiang's luck was not bad, although he could not refine the bone-level Dan now, but with this recipe, he would definitely have a chance to refine it in the future. "What I have is the divine concealment pill." Chen Xiang dripped a drop of blood on the jade tablet and frowned. "I wonder if the ingredients for this kind of divine pill are good enough to purchase." Feng Yujie said, "What I have is a mind-altering pellet. It looks to be about the same as your divine concealment pellet. They are all magical pellets with a strange function." The old man said, "I've heard about these 2 types of pills, and they are indeed rare, weird magical pills." The old man said, "I've heard about these 2 types of pills, and they are indeed rare, weird magical pills, and the herbs shouldn't be hard to buy." Feng Yujie was satisfied with these 2 pills. Although she had the Zhongping Dan's pill formulas, those medicinal ingredients were extremely difficult to find. After all, her pill formulas were all very ancient, and she did not know if the medicinal ingredients for those pill formulas could be said down from that time. "Now you can go and choose the Zhongping Dan's recipe," the old man said. "Elder, I want to take a look as well." Chen Xiang laughed. "I want to accompany her and increase her luck." "No problem." The old man laughed and immediately agreed. He felt that since Chen Xiang could not take away the jade plates, it was fine if he let him go. Although the secret room where the Zhongping Dan's pill formula was stored was very large, there weren't many jade plates hanging on it. After all, it wasn't easy to create the Zhongping Dan's pill formula. Just like before, Chen Xiang secretly opened the Eye of Primal Chaos the moment he entered and carefully checked the jade tablet. He only had more than 200 jade plates in total, and Chen Xiang would report one to Feng Yujie just by looking at them. She would decide for herself, because he didn't really understand these pills too well. It seems like all the good recipes have been chosen over the years. There is only one that is better, the Divine Sense C pills recipe. Feng Yujie thought for a moment, then asked Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang told Feng Yujie where it was located and immediately went to get it. After dripping blood, he got the recipe for the Divine Sense C pellet. "It's the Divine Sense C pill," Feng Yujie said, and without the old man asking, she said it out loud. "Oh, it's not bad. A high-grade Divine Sense C pill is capable of absorbing the power of one of the Divine Sense C's powers." The old man nodded his head. "The main purpose of this pill is to store the energy in the entire Divine Sense C. After the energy in the Divine Sense C is used up, eating a pill can instantly restore it to full." Feng Yujie said, "The bad thing is that I need to store my power inside." The old man laughed. "This is nothing. If there is nothing important, just pour half of the Divine Sense C's power in, or at least drink at the 3rd level, and you can recover in one night. This way, after a few days, you can fill up a pellet completely, and after the Divine Sense C's power runs out and needs to recover in a hurry, the effect of this Divine Sense C pellet will not be comparable to any other pellet." Chen Xiang had experienced the drying up of the Divine Sense C last time. At that time, he hardened his heart and used the heavenly alchemy to refine a few stars before he could barely recover. If he had this pill, he could have instantly recovered back then. Heavenly gods with 9 divine deity could instantly recover their strength, which showed that this divine sense C pellet was still very precious. It had to be known that heavenly gods with 9 divine deity had very huge divine sense CS, and the quality of their mysterious power was also very high. Once it was exhausted, it would be very difficult to quickly recover. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie both pass, said the examination. They walked out of Dan Hart Pavilion and saw that there were a lot of elders waiting for them outside. What's the result? When the oldest Gu saw Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie walking out, his originally somewhat listless expression immediately became lively like a dragon and a tiger. Seeing that it was so quiet outside, Chen Xiang knew that they were in a truce. If they continued to curse for days and nights, it would be very tiring. Seeing that it was so quiet outside, Chen Xiang knew that they were in a truce. If they continued to curse for days and nights, it would be very tiring. Therefore, she had already paused, said the examination. Chen Xiang also took out a jade tablet. It was an inferior grade pill G. Oh, haha, it's really over. Old turtle, don't you dare go back on your words. Oldest Gu laughed. Gu Lao Er said to Feng Yujie, little girl, what kind of Zhongping Dan did you refine? Take it out, that guy said as long as you can refine it, you can buy it for 10 times the price. The elder who was in charge of managing the Dan Hart Pavilion walked over and chuckled. So that means he's about to vomit blood. The Zhongping Dan that this little girl refined is a regeneration Dan. It's worth at least 1,000,000 Shin Yuan stone. Some ordinary shopping Dan would cost over 100,000 Shin Yuan stone, and Zhongping Dan were 6 or 7 times more valuable than shopping Dan. Moreover, the healing effect of regeneration Dan was very good. They could treat the injuries on their body and divine soul at the same time. It's the regeneration Dan. Oldest Gu said in shock. Doesn't that mean the old turtle has to take out tens of millions of Shin Yuan stone? This was a huge number, and normally, only hall masters could afford it. It would not be easy for a supreme Dan G. Oh. D like oldest Gu to take it out all of a sudden. Feng Yujie chuckled. This is my first time refining a high-quality regeneration Dan, so I don't plan to sell it. Sorry. Although Feng Yujie needed Shin Yuan stone, she did not want to make things difficult for others. In the eyes of these elders, she and Chen Xiang were juniors. They were not like the oldest Gu who liked to fight. Luo Tianjun laughed. The two of you are tired too, go back and rest. Don't look at the old fellows here, they have rested for half a day, and are about to start a war again. Feng Yujie's words were undoubtedly like a stepping stone for the old man, causing the old man to feel extremely touched. This was because the young genius of his Dan Hall, the pill refiner, was extremely arrogant, and did not like him at all. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie followed Luo Tianjun and left. This group of old men would continue to cause a ruckus later on. This was also their special method of reminiscing. Returning to the Dan Hall, Luo Tianjun asked, "Have you all registered yet in the Dan Hart Pavilion?" "I've registered." Chen Xiang nodded. The old man from the Dan Hart Pavilion had already reminded them to register. A few days ago, Chen Xiang wanted to enter the underground chamber to concoct pills, but he and Feng Yujie were suddenly summoned by Luo Tianjun to the Dan Hart Pavilion, and they even went through the examination. Then go rest. Luo Tianjun waved his hand. Don't call me over during this period of time, I have to prepare. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie nodded, then returned back to their rooms to shower and sleep. Previously, Chen Xiang had used up a lot of spirit pearls, but now, he and Feng Yujie stayed in the house for a few days and brought out 20 or so pills. I'm going to sell the Yusen Dan you refined and buy my ingredient. The Zhongping Dan I refined is still lacking a bit. Feng Yujie lightly patted Chen Xiang's handsome face, and then pulled away Chen Xiang's bad hand that was still rubbing her chest. When Feng Yujie saw Chen Xiang looking at her with his fiery eyes, she humphed and quickly tidied up her clothes, so that Chen Xiang wouldn't be unable to resist and take her down on the spot. Seeing Feng Yujie leave, Chen Xiang took a few deep breaths to calm himself down, then ran into the underground room and started concocting pills. Right now, what he wanted to refine was the modified version of the pellet, which was a pellet of Yusindan S. If he succeeded in refining the pellet, among the healing type of Xiaoping Dan, the effect would be very good and he could sell it for a lot of Shin Yuan Stone S. Chen Xiang felt that there were no Xiaoping Dan suitable for him to raise his strength, and only bone-level Dan S existed. It was just that they were not easy to refine, and required a large amount of Shangpin Holy Dan as materials. As for the spirit orb that he and Feng Yujie kissed and cultivated with, the copy speed was not bad. Could quickly refine a Xiaoping Dan, so to quickly earn a Shin Yuan Stone, the best method would be to refine a Xiaoping Dan. If I were to successfully refine this kind of pellet, then I would have access to the bone-level Dan's ingredients in the future. Chen Xiang threw a pile of medicinal ingredients into it. He was already very familiar with the Yusindan's medicine, but now that he had joined the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng, under the influence of the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng, the characteristics of the other herbs would fluctuate, so he had to be careful. So as to avoid an explosion, the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng required 2 spirit pearls to replicate. Chen Xiang was already very familiar with how the other Yusindan S would appear if they were to burn the other Yusindan S medicinal herbs. All he needed to do now was to carefully pay attention to their appearances. After and Feng Yujie Pass, said the examination, as outstanding young alchemist who had just joined the Dan Hall, they received great attention. Especially Feng Yujie, as a woman, not only did she have a medial grade pill God, she was even able to refine regeneration Dan. Many old pill GODs had heard of this, but there were no pill formulas, and the pill formulas were also relatively old. Only the divine nations had this kind of divine pill, but no one had heard of it. Originally, she could have sold a regeneration Dan for millions of Shin Yuan Stone, but she did not do so. This caused others to secretly praise her, because in their impression of Feng Yujie, outstanding young people were usually extremely arrogant. Of course, the ones who were paying the most attention to Feng Yujie were the young alchemist S of the other Dan Hall, because they had already heard some unhappy words. As a result, the youths of the other Dan Hall S, who had originally only planned to partake 1p8 in the group of inferior pill GODs, all went to the Dan Hart Pavilion to undergo the examination of a middle-stage pill God. This was because they wanted to be in the same group as Feng Yujie, wanted to defeat Feng Yujie, prove that they were stronger than Feng Yujie, and make the group of old pill GODs, who were praising Feng Yujie, shut up. What's going on? This Xinjiang Gold Ginseng does not have a spirit blood. Chen Xiang was secretly anxious, because the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng was about to melt, and it had not appeared yet. If it still did not appear, and the spirit blood could not catch the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng and fuse with the blood of the other medicinal herbs, then this furnace would be considered a failure. An hour had passed, and the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng had already been refined into medicine aura S and medicinal powders, which were golden and floated inside the pill furnace. However, Chen Xiang still had not found the spirit blood. Ever since he had created the original source refining, he had never encountered this kind of problem, nor was there any way to resolve it. I can only go deeper and search for the spirit blood. When I'm burning them, my speed is already slow enough and I haven't even burned the spirit blood out yet. Don't tell me I'm still going to continue. Chen Xiang guessed in his heart as he continued to use fire to refine those medicine aura. After he had burned for 2 hours, the group of medicine aura suddenly underwent a bizarre change. The originally golden medicine aura, after being burnt for a period of time, had actually become purple gold. This change was acceptable to Chen Xiang, but the following changes were completely unexpected to him. The originally golden medicine aura, after being burnt for a period of time, had actually become purple gold. This change was acceptable to Chen Xiang, but the following changes were completely unexpected to him. The Xinjiang gold ginseng that was already burnt into a purple gold mist by him had suddenly shrunk back to the size of a pinky finger, which was a few times smaller than its original size. Chen Xiang was dumbstruck. To think that such a thing would happen even after burning the herbs. It seemed as if the herbs had evolved. How could this be? Chen Xiang did not understand much about Xinjiang gold ginseng s. He only knew that this type of divine medicine was extremely effective in treating the body. If he were to take it directly, he would feel as if his entire body was being burned by fire, and the serious wounds on his body would also gradually recover from the burning pain. If it was refined with other divine medicines, the burning pain could be relieved. Chen Xiang only understood this. He had never heard of burning Xinjiang gold ginseng causing a change. Could it be that there's a problem with my fire, allowing the Xinjiang gold ginseng to evolve? A question arose in Chen Xiang's heart. If it was a normal person refining a Xinjiang gold ginseng, this situation would not have happened. According to the pill formula, the flowers that were being refined could already be refined into a pill. Back then, when he had bought the Xinjiang gold ginseng, Luo Tianjun was also present, and did not tell him about this sort of thing. When Sister Feng comes back, let her try and see if it was caused by my Chuangzhao fire or not. Chen Xiang could only continue to refine the Xinjiang gold ginseng that had evolved. His good control could allow his Chuangzhao fire to burn and revive some dying medicinal herbs. Different from normal flames could be destroyed, and his flames could be regenerated. He continued to refine the true sun purple gold ginseng, and 6 hours later, he was pleasantly surprised to find that the spirit blood had appeared inside. He immediately controlled the power of the divine sense C to transform into a spirit body, and grabbed onto the spirit blood. He finally found the Xinjiang gold ginseng S and immediately combined them with the other Yusindan's medicinal ingredient. The fusion went smoothly. After the spirit blood S fused with the medicinal ingredients, the next step would be to burn the purple gold pills and turn them into medicine aura. Then, he would remove the gaps between the various medicinal ingredients and allow the different types of mist to merge together. Done. Although something unexpected happened, in the end, Chen Xiang still succeeded. Ever since he refined the Yusindan, this was the second time he successfully refined a divine pill, and one that was even improved by him. Just like before, using the original source refining would allow him to make full use of all the medicinal ingredients, so he wouldn't waste any of it. It's purplish gold in color. It seems like the entire effect is from the purplish golden ginseng. Chen Xiang opened his pill furnace and saw 4 purplish golden pellets. He took them all out and ate one of them. After eating it, he immediately felt that his body was warm and not burning at all. Instead, he felt that this warm current was extremely comfortable. There were no injuries on his body, so he could not tell how strong the effects were, but he could feel that the effects were very strong, because even after he refined them, he still felt that there were quite a few medicinal effects scurrying around, as if they were looking for an injury to heal. Let's call it the purple gold divine pill. Looking at the appearance of the pill that Chen Xiang had named himself, he probably wouldn't think of having a Yusindan no matter what. Furthermore, the feeling he gave off when he ate it was completely different from that of a Yusindan. He felt that even an experienced old pill G.O.D. would not be able to guess that a Xinjiang gold ginseng was added inside after eating it. After concocting the furnace pills, it was already night time. Chen Xiang walked out of the secret room and saw Feng Yujie organizing the ingredients on the table. I've collected all of them. Seeing Chen Xiang coming out, Feng Yujie smiled sweetly and said happily, I succeeded too, but some strange things happened. Chen Xiang walked over, picked Feng Yujie up, and let her sit on his lap. Then, he kissed her on the cheek. Feng Yujie playfully pouted her lips and pinched Chen Xiang's face. What strange thing happened? Show me your improved pill. Chen Xiang took out a purple gold divine pill and handed it over to Feng Yujie's alluring sandalwood. Feng Yujie opened her mouth and ate the purple gold divine pill that Chen Xiang placed in her mouth. After eating it, she immediately frowned. The medicinal effect is very strong, much stronger than the Yusindan. This pill is extremely good. That's right, you said something strange happened. Chen Xiang told Feng Yujie about the strange incident of burning Xinjiang gold ginseng. After Feng Yujie finished listening, she fell into deep thought with a somewhat serious expression. She walked down from Chen Xiang's thigh, and after walking back and forth a few times in the room, she said, "Could it be the Xinjiang gold ginseng?" Chen Xiang asked. "This is a very strange phenomenon. There are some medicinal herbs that would have this kind of mutation, and some would even change into a new medicinal herb after fusing with other medicinal herbs. Not only does it retain the original effects, it also has other effects." Feng Yujie explained. This kind of situation will usually appear on high-level divine medicines. Chen Xiang did not understand, but this was a good thing, because after the change, it would be better for him to refine the Xinjiang gold ginseng. "When are you going to start purchasing your bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients?" Feng Yujie asked. "We can start now. Also, let's hang up the spirit concealment pills and the spirit concealment pills as well." Chen Xiang chuckled. "Let's get some more spirit pearls first. Once we purchase some more, we can duplicate them and then refine them onto ourselves." Feng Yujie said, "It's hard to sell Yusindan now, so many disciples who have returned are all selling their pills in large quantities. The price is now very low. Should we release the better high-grade divine pellets for sale?" Now she had to sell some high-grade divine pellets which were Zhongping Dan. These kind of pellets which Feng Yujie had just refined could be sold for millions of Shen Yuan stones, and she could make 3 of them during the previous exam. If she were to hang them up for sale now, there would definitely be people who would buy them very quickly. These few days, her reputation was already very high. This would make her pills even easier to sell. "How many Shen Yuan stone do we still have?" Chen Xiang asked. "Not much. We have a lot of divine medicines to buy now, and most of them are of high level. Our little Shen Yuan stone are simply not enough, and the fastest way now is to sell my regeneration Dan." Feng Yujie shook his head, took out a storage bag and gave it to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang entered and found that there were indeed very few Shen Yuan stone inside. Chen Xiang did not want Feng Yujie to sell the regeneration Dan, because it was a very good type of Zhongping Dan that could heal injuries. Feng Yujie thought about it carefully and felt that he should not sell the regeneration Dan now, because refining this kind of pill was not easy. After all, this was a Zhongping Dan, and it required a lot of ingredient. Feng Yujie thought about it carefully and felt that he should not sell the regeneration Dan now, because refining this kind of pill was not easy. After all, this was a Zhongping Dan, and it required a lot of ingredient. "Sister Feng, if you have the time, see if you can comprehend a method to quickly refine Zhongping Dan from the heavenly alchemy," Chen Xiang said. "Don't sell the regeneration Dan for now. I will go find Xiao Chou and think of a way. Supreme Hall should have a lot of work to do." Chen Xiang was already prepared to partake 1p8 in the Xiaoping Dan Escompet 1. Tian, so he had plenty of time right now. The only thing he wanted to do now was to take advantage of the time he was in the Supreme Divine Palace and try his best to buy some rare medicines. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. It was already dusk. There was someone coming in. "Someone is knocking on the door. Who is it?" Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie walked out of their rooms and opened the door together. During this period of time, Luo Tianjun had to go into closed-door cultivation while 3 Gu brothers was outside to reminisce with his old rivals, so only Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were the only ones in Dan Hall. If 3 Gu brothers had returned, they could have just opened the door and entered. Therefore, the one knocking on the door was definitely not the three of them. At first, Chen Xiang thought it was Xiao Chou, but after he opened the door wide, he and Feng Yujie were a little surprised. Outside the door stood a middle-aged man wearing a black robe. This middle-aged man had come here the last time, and Chen Xiang's Jinyang gold ginseng were bought from him. This middle-aged man gave off a very strange feeling. That kind of feeling felt very familiar to Chen Xiang, but he could not say it out loud. I'm here to sell divine medicines. I have a mid-tier heavenly heart divine fruit and 9 heart lotus. The middle-aged man went straight to the point, and immediately revealed his intentions when he saw Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie, because last time, it was Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie who had bought his divine medicine. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were both very surprised that this middle-aged man had so many good divine medicines. The heavenly heart fruit and the 9 heart lotus were the ingredients needed to refine the spirit pill. The heavenly heart fruit and the 9 heart lotus were the most important, and also the most expensive and rarest. The other 3 were not that expensive. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were in a difficult situation, because they did not have any Shen Yuan stone now. This was a Zhongping medicine. The price was 10 times more expensive than a low-grade divine medicine, let alone this kind of rare medicine. This big brother, we do not have enough Shen Yuan stone now. Can you leave some for us to buy after we gather enough Shen Yuan stone? Chen Xiang laughed awkwardly. We cooperated so happily last time, please promise us this time. 10 days. You guys come to the boxing hall's Heavenly God9 hall to look for Xiao, a total of 4 million Shen Yuan stone. If you don't come after 10 days, I'll sell you guys immediately if anyone buys you. After Xiao finished speaking, he turned and walked away quickly. Thank you very much, Chen Xiang shouted as they looked at each other. This Xiao was indeed very arrogant, but his arrogance gave others a good impression, so they would not feel disgusted. After Xiao left, he closed the door and said, Where did this fellow come from, to actually have so many rare and precious divine medicines? Feng Yujie said, He seems to be very secretive, and judging from his personality, he does not seem to want to talk to anyone else. Could it be that he is hiding his identity? 1. Tai and does not know if there are any people he is familiar with in the entire set? I'll look for Xiao Chou tomorrow. If it really doesn't work, then I'll have to copy the Regeneration Dan's medicinal ingredients and buy some Shangping Holy Dan to let you refine them. Chen Xiang said. 10 days might not be enough. How about I sell these 3 Regeneration Dan first? Feng Yujie was in a hurry to obtain the main ingredient for the mind-connecting pill. This guy is selling for so much. He's actually asking for 4 million Shen Yuan stone. There are only 2 kinds of Zhongping medicine. One of your Regeneration Dan is only worth 1 million. This guy is too evil. Chen Xiang knew that he couldn't negotiate a price with Xiao, so if he were to talk about the price with him, he would immediately leave, looking like he wouldn't buy even if he wanted to. Only he has it. Even if he doesn't buy it, he'll have to buy it. If he misses it, then he won't have it anymore when he's in a rush. Feng Yujie said. He caught on to our feelings, which was why he offered such a high price. These 2 main ingredients were at most 2 million Shen Yuan stones, but they were being sold for twice the price. If it was someone else, they would definitely not buy them because they could not be used back. But for Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie, this was not the usual thing. Because they had the spirit pearls, they could mainly get one set and make multiple copies. Although it was outrageously expensive, but in their opinion it was still worth it, so they wanted to buy it. Let's go, we will go and announce the sale of the Regeneration Dan now. Feng Yujie finally made this decision. She had 3 pellets in her possession. If it was only 1 pellet for 1 million, she would only need to sell it for 3 million Shen Yuan stones. Chen Xiang laughed. Don't tell me that fellow knew that you had just refined a Regeneration Dan and he is trying to kill you? Feng Yujie scoffed. It's very possible, this guy, A alchemist that could refine regeneration Dan would definitely not be poor. Xiao still felt that it was cheap to sell it to Feng Yujie last time. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie came to the Supreme Hall, and when they went to get a piece of paper from the old man said in a low voice, "Little girl, what's going on? Where did you get your regeneration Dan's pill formula from? There are already a few notices selling regeneration Dan here. One is only 400,000 Shin Yuan stone, and the notice says it can be sold for a long time." How could this happen? Feng Yujie did not dare believe it. The regeneration Dan's pill formula was very ancient. Other than her, there would definitely be others who had it. This was not strange. Strangely, at this critical juncture, someone suddenly came to sell it at a low price, as if trying to show off to her. "Elder, can you help me check who posted the notice?" Feng Yujie asked. "It was all posted by the same person. This guy is a young man from the 3rd Dan Hall." The old man laughed. "Seems like you have aroused the interest of the young people of Dan Hall to compete with you." Feng Yujie sighed. If she was selling the regeneration Dan too, then the other party would probably sell it even more cheaply. She did not want her regeneration Dan to be so cheap. After knowing that the regeneration Dan had lost so much weight in one go, Feng Yujie did not issue any notice, and returned back to the 10th hall with Chen Xiang. Once he closed the door, Feng Yujie was so angry that she snorted. "Is this guy declaring war on me? He does have some ability, to be able to sell the regeneration Dan at this price. He must be trying to show that the regeneration Dan is nothing in his eyes." Feng Yujie previously controlled a very large sect, and was originally one of the big shots in terms of power. Now, the aggressive heart that was hidden in her heart was aroused. "Brat, you should go and find Xiao Chou tomorrow to see if there's any way to raise 4 million Shin Yuan stone. I plan to try and improve the regeneration Dan tomorrow." Feng Yujie quickly thought of a plan to fight back. Who was Bri.M.M.I.N.G with fighting spirit, hastily entered the secret room. "Seems like she was serious." Chen Xiang shook his head and laughed. Then he headed towards the Soul Hall to look for Xiao Chou. Who was Brimmming with fighting spirit, hastily entered the secret room. "Seems like she was serious." Chen Xiang shook his head and laughed. Then he headed towards the Soul Hall to look for Xiao Chou. Feng Yujie told him to go tomorrow, but she was going to the Earth Room immediately to refine pills. Tonight, she was not going to train with Chen Xiang in the Alive Slain Method's spirit refinement pellet. Chen Xiang had nothing else to do, so she went to find Xiao Chou ahead of time. Xiao Chou's name was extremely resounding in the Soul Hall. He came to the first hall of the Soul Hall, and said that he was looking for Xiao Chou, and someone immediately went to report to him. Chen Xiang sat in the Great Hall of the first hall of the Soul Hall. The Great Hall gave him a feeling of extravagance, and this hall was much larger than the 10th hall of their Dan Hall. It was equivalent to a small plaza, and there were many luxurious tables and chairs. The number of Soul Hall S were more than the number of Dan Hall S, and the number of elites in the first Soul Hall S were also more than the number of people in each hall. Let alone the first Soul Hall, even the profound God of Zhang Zhua, who was killed by Chen Xiang, was more luxurious than his 10th hall. This did not mean that the Dan Hall was weak, it just showed that the threshold for the Dan Hall S was too high, leading to the fact that there were very few disciples in the Dan Hall S. But the effects of the Dan Hall S in the Supreme Divine Palace S still could not be underestimated. All of the divine pills here were provided by the Sovereign Dan Hall S, who had the least number of people. Xiao Chou quickly came. He came by himself, and that innocent wife of his did not come with him. "Master, what's the matter?" Xiao Chou asked. She was clear that Chen Xiang must have something that brought her here, so she did not waste her breath with him. "How many Shin Yuan stone do you have?" "I need around 4 to 5 million of these." Chen Xiang went straight to the point and stated his purpose for coming here. Forget about Xiao Chou, Even some of the old alchemists couldn't take out the 4 or 5 million Shin Yuan stone in a short period of time. They had to sell some things in order to get it. Not that many, I only have 500,000 Shin Yuan stone on me. Xiao Chou curled his lips. Master, why do you need so many Shin Yuan stone? How are you so poor? Chen Xiang never thought that Xiao Chou would be so powerful and mighty in the Soul Hall, but he was actually so poor. Are you very poor? I don't think so, I'm considered relatively rich. Although I can't afford some high-level divine pellets, the divine pellets that are supplied to us are all given to you by our hall elders. If you perform well you will be rewarded with a divine pellet, Xiao Chou said, surprised. Among the Dan Halls, there aren't many who can take out 4 to 500,000 Shin Yuan stone at any time, especially ones with strength like mine. If it's someone who's 2G. Oh, delay, then it's a completely different story. Looking at the entire Supreme Divine Palace, the other young men and women of the heavenly God level, I am considered very rich. Xiao Chou was not convinced, and continued to explain, wanting to prove that he was not poor. This little bit of Shen Yuan stone was nothing in his eyes. Not long after he entered the Supreme Divine Palace, he already used it a lot, much more than Xiao Chou this little bit of Shen Yuan stone. Master, don't tell me you think it's so easy to earn money? The Yusin Dan that you just refined is only 60 to 70,000, and you can't just keep refining the divine pellets endlessly, right? These divine pellets are very hard to refine, and the ingredients are extremely hard to obtain too. Besides the cost, you didn't earn much, and it was very hard for you as well, Xiao Chou said as he saw Chen Xiang's smile. Chen Xiang walked to his side and patted his head. That's other alchemists. Let me tell you, the regeneration Dan that Sister Feng refined before could be sold for millions of Shin Yuan stone, but now there's a guy fighting over business with her, selling each pellet for $400,000, so she's very angry, and is preparing to make an even more powerful divine pellet. Xiao Chou said, I just heard about this matter. That guy who was SN. ATC. Hing-Away Master's wife's business is also a prodigal son. He does not have many regeneration Dan and only has around 10 or so of them. Also, not just anyone can buy his regeneration Dan. He thinks that you're not pleasing to the eye and will not sell it to you. Although it's like that, it really does affect Mistress, because this will make many people feel that the regeneration Dan is only worth 400,000 Shin Yuan stone, so they won't buy Mistress unless Mistress also sells for 400,000. Chen Xiang snorted. This BASTARD truly does not benefit himself by taking advantage of others. He obviously came to make Sister Feng sick. Xiao Chou nodded his head. It's an obvious thing. Mistress has painstakingly refined a regeneration Dan, but its price dropped so much that I feel angry just thinking about it. The Zhongping Dan that Feng Yujie gave to her wife, Zhu Siqing, was a regeneration Dan. Xiao Chou, there are a lot of missions in Supreme Hall, and all of them will receive Shin Yuan Stone after the mission is completed. You should have some understanding of this, Chen Xiang said. Master, are you planning to get a few million Shin Yuan stone in one go? There are indeed bounty notices for this kind of thing, but of the 10 people who go and do such dangerous things, 9 of them won't be able to get back. The one that can get back is also half crippled. Chen Xiang slapped his bald head and scolded with a smile. If you go with me, nothing will happen. I only need a capable fighter right now. When did you become so timid? I understand. I don't blame you, I don't blame you. Now that Xiao Chou had a wife, he was no longer as free to risk his life as he used to be. Xiao Chou laughed dryly. There's nothing I can do. If her grandfather knew that I was going to risk my life, he would have first taken mine. I do want to go with you. How about this? I'll lend you 500,000 Shin Yuan stone. It's fine if you don't return it to me in the future. In 3 months it would be the compet. 1 tie-in for all the halls in Supreme Divine Palace, and Xiao Chou was the main force of the first soul hall. Chen Xiang very impolitely received Xiao Chou's 500,000 Shin Yuan stone, and then left the first soul hall, heading towards the Supreme Hall. It was Feng Yujie's first time trying to improve a divine pellet for himself, and it was a very complex Zhongping Dan as well, so he definitely couldn't do it within 10 days. However, Xie Ao had said before that he needed to gather enough Shen Yuan stone within 10 days, otherwise, he would sell them to others. Those who wanted to take advantage of her would definitely come and fight her for it now. Therefore, after 10 days Pas said, without enough Shen Yuan stone the divine medicine in Xie Ao's hands would definitely be sold quickly. There were a lot of missions in the Supreme Hall, and completing one was very difficult. It was said that even the Supreme God did not return. I can give this a try. Chen Xiang suddenly saw an order. It said that they were going to the Beast God realm to find a special stone. This kind of stone could only be found in the Beast God realm's mountain range. The mountain range was very big, and inside the mountain range were many strong special God beast. Even the Supreme Gods did not dare to casually enter. It was because Chen Xiang saw that the Beast Divine Palace that he could try to reach the Beast God realm. That was why he felt that it was possible for him to go there and see if he could find Yuer, the little kitten. It was very mysterious. It was because Chen Xiang saw that the Beast Divine Palace that he could try to reach the Beast God realm. That was why he felt that it was possible for him to go there and see if he could find Yuer, the little kitten. It was very mysterious. There was a number on the token. Chen Xiang remembered this number and went to the counter to look for the old man. Clan Elder, please give me the details of the 900 commission order, Chen Xiang said in a low voice. What? Did you remember wrong? Number 900? This is very dangerous. The old man was very surprised. He could tell that he had a very deep impression of this order. Chen Xiang laughed. Yes, I want to go take a look. The old man's face was stern. Brat, are you crazy? There's only 3 months left until the compet. 1. Tian? Even if you want to go, you have to wait until the compet. 1. Tian in the various halls of Supreme Divine Palace is over. You asked your hall master if he did such a dangerous thing? Elder, I have a friend in the Beast Divine Palace. I'll go ask him first. He's definitely very familiar with that place. If he doesn't recommend me to come back when the time comes, I'll come back. Chen Xiang said. The old man thought for a while and sighed. Since you insist, I won't stop you anymore. Remember, you have to come back alive or else we'll be together forever. This information originally needed 200,000 Shin Yuan stone. I saw that you didn't have it, so I'll give it to you. The old man handed over a jade tablet to Chen Xiang. If you can complete it, then the person who gave this mission would be the chief hall master of the Soul Hall. He went there himself and lost half his life. The old man said, Isn't the chief hall master of the Soul Hall Xiao Chou's wife's grandfather? Chen Xiang heard Xiao Chou talk about how not only was the chief of the first Soul Hall, but also an elder of the first Soul Hall. Furthermore, it was a very powerful descendant of the Herculean God tribe. Asking 10 million Shen Yuan stone for such a difficult task is a little too little, isn't it? Chen Xiang casually said that 10 million Shen Yuan stone was nothing to the chief hall master of the Soul Hall. Other than the 10 million Shen Yuan stone, there's also the high-quality beast God soul that he gifted you. The old man said, If your friend from Beast Divine Palace can help you complete it, then you'll earn a lot. You know what, even if I went to find that guy to buy the Beast God soul, he wouldn't sell it to me. It wasn't long before Xiao Chou possessed 3 divine souls to become a God of heaven with the help of the chief hall master. When Chen Xiang received the jade tablet, he injected the divine stone into it and got a detailed explanation. The first thing he did was to instruct him on how to leave the sovereign God realm and enter the beast God realm. The contents are all from a long time ago, so they can only be used as a reference. The old man said. I definitely won't be able to return within 10 days. Chen Xiang sighed, going to the Beast G.O. D realm requires a very long journey. The old man asked, Do you really need Xin Yuan stone? I can lend you some first, but you have to return some to me. Amen, I need 4 million Xin Yuan stone, Chen Xiang said. Can I? No problem. The old man stayed here all day and knew that Feng Yujie had already sold quite a few Yusen Dan S previously. He had sold quite a few Xin Yuan stone S that were refined by Chen Xiang, so he was not worried that Chen Xiang would not be able to pay it back. Then are you still going to the Beast G.O.D. realm? The old man could already tell that the reason Chen Xiang had accepted the dangerous mission order was to earn Xin Yuan stone. Go. I have something to do in the Beast Divine Palace. I have to go see him. Chen Xiang laughed and continuously thanked the old man. After borrowing the 4 million Xin Yuan stone, Chen Xiang immediately went to the boxing hall to find Xiao. However, he was told that Xiao no longer had a choice but to return to his own Dan hall. The transmission array that the Supreme Divine Palace S did not have direct access to could only rely on Chen Xiang to walk as soon as he walked out of the Supreme Divine Palace. Deep into the night, Chen Xiang did not rest and continued to run through the forest. Tracking me? I didn't even use the spatial teleportation. There were quite a lot of traces left behind. In order to investigate if there were any birds or beasts nearby, Chen Xiang released a very wide spatial sensing domain. However, he discovered that there were people hiding in the distance, following the traces he left behind carefully. Chen Xiang could not understand why she would be targeted in the Supreme Divine Palace. She did not provoke anyone, so he immediately released his divine soul to check who was following him. His soul quickly flew over, and he only saw 2 black-clothed men. They wore masks, so only 2 eyes could be seen. From the sword hall? Chen Xiang could feel a faint sword intent at this moment. Only those with profound attainments in the way of the sword could have this kind of strength, which was at least similar to that of the heavenly God level. Chen Xiang continued his journey. This time, he used the spatial travel technique to increase his speed. He did not want to clash with the 2 GODs from Sword Hall. Don't tell me they found out that I killed Zhang Zhua and the others? If they found out that I did it, they would definitely make a ruckus. Chen Xiang's heart trembled. He was indeed worried in this regard right now. Could it be that they are following me for evidence, or the people they sent out have already found Su Lingfei and the others? All sorts of bad guesses suddenly popped up in Chen Xiang's mind, making him very worried. Originally, he planned to shake off the 2 Sword Hall GODs behind him, but now, he stopped using spatial travel. It was because he wanted to know why the 2 of them were following him and to prevent him from thinking too much along the way. He guessed that the 2 GODs following him were planning to wait until he was far away from the Supreme Divine Palace before making his move, so he did not continue to use the spatial shuttle. Instead, he increased his speed and ran, leaving behind traces so that the 2 behind him could catch up when they were about the same distance away. When released his spatial perception domain again, he discovered that the speed of the 2 people behind him had increased by a lot compared to before. After running frantically for an entire night, he was already far away from the Supreme Divine Palace. Furthermore, it was also a good opportunity to strike when he was deep in the mountains and forests. Chen Xiang intentionally did not run over and sat there to rest, waiting for the 2 people to catch up. I know you 2 are from Sword Hall. Chen Xiang only waited for a short while before the 2 people appeared in front of him. In response to Chen Xiang, 2 sharp and ice-cold longswords pierced towards him. Chen Xiang used teleportation to avoid the 2 swords, while the 2 who were following him did not pose much of a threat to him. These 2 cold swords were extremely ruthless, they condensed with very strong power, as though they were going to destroy Qin Xiang with a single sword strike, bringing along a deep cold killing intent, and the mysterious power that was condensed inside the divine sword shot out from the sword blade, penetrating deep underground and exploding deep, causing the stone ground to suddenly burst out, forming a large hole in the ground. These two cold swords were extremely ruthless, they condensed with very strong power, as though they were going to destroy Qin Xiang with a single sword strike, bringing along a deep cold killing intent, and the mysterious power that was condensed inside the divine sword shot out from the sword blade, penetrating deep underground and exploding deep, causing the stone ground to suddenly burst out, forming a large hole in the ground. Qin Xiang, who had teleported away, saw this, and took a deep breath. If he did not dodge just now, he would have suffered greatly. Qin Xiang now understood the purpose of these two sword hall gods, who were following him. They were undoubtedly here to kill him. These two gods had come to kill him, but he did not know why. If he wanted to know, the most effective way would be to kill these two gods, and then use the soul-absorbing devil spell to search their memories. They were both Sword Hall's disciples, and more or less, they had one or two good swords in their hands. However, the god slaughtering sword in Qin Xiang's hands looked very weak, and could not be considered a sword in their eyes. If it was before, he would not have believed that the god slaughtering sword in his hand was a divine sword, but now it was, for the sword already possessed divine deity and sword spirit, and it had become extremely powerful. Qin Xiang's 6 realms power surged into the divine sword as he channeled the new technique of the god murdering sword technique. As expected of the god murdering sword techniques, kill, showing no mercy. With that, the Qin Xiang in front of them disappeared. In the blink of an eye, they felt as if their bodies had been touched by something. That kind of feeling was extremely light, and by the time they had reacted to it, they saw that their 2 arms had already fallen to the ground. Following that, a slight pain came from their necks. The time it took for Qin Xiang to use the god murdering sword techniques was full of mysteries, and he killed the 2 men in black in an instant. He kept the god slaughtering sword well, grabbed the heads of the 2 men in black, and activated the soul-absorbing devil spell to find out what he wanted to know. Fortunately, they didn't find Su Lingfei. The worry that Qin Xiang had always been worrying about could finally be put down, because from the 2 people's memories, he also found out that Su Lingfei and his grandson had long since gone to the heavenly god lake. There were some contradictions between the heavenly god lake and the supreme divine palace, especially among the numerous sword halls, who often had conflicts with the disciples of the heavenly god lake. He cleaned up the scene, then left the place in a hurry. The 2 gods had come to kill him, mainly because he had the god murdering sword techniques in his hands. This was what an elder of the sword hall had told them. Qin Xiang continued to rush to the beast god realm. The reason the elders of the Sword Hall wanted to kill him was not because they suspected him of killing Zhang Zhuo, but because the elder told the 2 black-clothed men that it was because of the god murdering sword technique. However, Qin Xiang felt that it was not so. When he was in the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, he had met An Bli from the imperial family who came from the divine nations. This Bli from the imperial family was with Hel Devil Emperor and his group of puppets at that time. This group of puppets all listened to this person's orders, and this Bli from the imperial family was actually able to easily enter the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Looks like divine nations is going to attack me. I wonder when Bidong will return? Qin Xiang started to worry. Previously, Bidong had said that he was going to the divine nations, and this matter was related to him. The divine nations who were in control of the Supreme Divine Palace already knew that he was in the Supreme Divine Palace. Qin Xiang did not want to leave the Supreme Divine Palace at the moment, because he was doing pretty well in there. The hall masters and 3 Gu brothers treated him very well, and Xiao Chou was also inside there. The great divine lord he met in the 9 Heaven Devil Palace had told him that he would be fine staying in the Supreme Divine Palace. This was because the Supreme Divine Palace also had the power of their 9 divine kings, but now it seemed that the power they had left was already very weak, so he could not believe too much in these words. 5 days later, he finally arrived at the Beast God realm. After entering the Beast God realm, he had a different feeling. Even though the Beast God realm and Supreme Divine Palace were unobstructed, there was still a strange barrier between them, and when he stepped into it, he would have a very distinct feeling. Furthermore, the divine spirit Qi absorbed by the Beast God realm was also very different from that of the sovereign God realm. I will first go to Beast Divine Palace to find you. It should be much more convenient with her help. The jade tablet that the old man gave him also recorded the way to Beast Divine Palace. Although the Beast Divine Palace had started a war with the humans before, it was no longer a hostile relations. Hi+P. According to his knowledge, there were powers planted by the divine nations and it may not be as many as the Beast Divine Palace. The 9 divine nations needed to be in control of the movements of the 3 divine halls at all times, so there were people from them in the light and dark of the 3 divine halls. Chen Xiang's speed was extremely fast. He had traveled continuously for 5 days, using the power of SPAC to travel continuously, bringing about some GODs who were fast enough to fly for more than 10 days. This Super D realm is much bigger than I imagined. Even my furthest teleportation can allow me to traverse a very long distance, but I need 5 consecutive days to reach this place. Chen Xiang looked at the shadow that stood erect between heaven and earth. This faint shadow was a gigantic mountain, and the clouds and mist could only cover the side of the mountain. The Beast Divine Palace was built on top of the mountain. Chen Xiang understood that there were countless caves of varying sizes in this enormous mountain, and those caves contained a large number of divine beasts or special God beast that were unable to change their shape. It looks like I need to strengthen my training in the SPAC laws so I can teleport a longer distance away. He had already understood that the Super God realm was a world that was even vaster and grander than the GODS realm. He had a faint feeling that the 9 divine nations were hiding in this world, which was larger than the GODS realm on every side. Half a day later, he arrived at the foot of the mountain. The bottom of the mountain was extremely large. If he wanted to walk around the mountain normally, he would need at least half a year. And the stairs, who built them? I wonder if they can fly up. Chen Xiang raised his head to see how tall he was, but he couldn't see the top. Just as Chen Xiang wanted to fly up, he suddenly heard a small sound coming from the sky. He raised his head and saw a small dot. It's one person. He fell. Chen Xiang anxiously dodged, waiting for the man to fall to the ground. He waited for a moment and the man finally fell, Hi+ing to the ground. Another reckless human. If you could just fly up, why would you want this staircase? You're courting death. An old man walked over. From his tone, he should be a God beast in human form. Chen Xiang felt that it was strange. The person who fell down did not look weak. Why was he not floating in mid-air? His body was already strong, even though he was smashed down from such a high altitude. He was only unconscious and did not become a mess. Chen Xiang felt that it was strange. The person who fell down did not look weak. Why was he not floating in mid-air? His body was already strong, even though he was smashed down from such a high altitude. He was only unconscious and did not become a mess. Senior, why can't we fly up? How long will it take to walk up there? Chen Xiang asked. Only special God beast can fly. Flying up to a transformed form of a divine beast like us is simply courting death. The old man flipped the fallen man over and shook his head. This guy will probably be lying on the ground for a month or so. Chen Xiang did not get a satisfactory answer. If we fly up, wouldn't it be faster to reach the shrine at the top? The old man laughed. Legend has it that the one who built this staircase took this staircase for everyone, so he made this rule. Otherwise, his heaven stairway would have been built in vain. Chen Xiang laughed. Senior, normally, how long does it take to walk up there? The faster you are, the more you will reach the top in a day, while the slower you will need 2 or 3 days. The old man raised his head and looked at the sky. It might be a little cold up there. Take care to guard against the cold when you go up there. The cold air is still very strong. If you come down, can you just jump down? Chen Xiang laughed. Then it will be faster. The old man pointed at the man on the ground and smiled. Of course it will be faster, but that's the way it will be. If we're unlucky and the others get their clothes off and steal everything away, then they'll be completely unlucky. Chen Xiang greeted the old man and then went up the sky stairway. The heaven stairway was extremely steep and was created by circling the gigantic mountain. Chen Xiang tried it out and realized that he could use teleportation without incident, hence he continued to use it. After more than 2 hours, he was already close to the peak. At this moment, the clouds and mist in the sky had completely dispersed. He looked at the ground and saw that everything on it was extremely small, and he could not see the group of people walking about. It was just as the old man had said. It was very cold here, and there was a strong and strange chill in the air. To him, this was not a problem. Looks like it's not easy for ordinary people to come to Beast Divine Palace. If Chen Xiang did not use his spatial energy to come up, he would have definitely vomited after running this heaven stairway. From high up in the sky, one could see the occasional flying beast flying straight up before finally entering the giant palace at the top. The Beast Divine Palace at the top of the mountain was equivalent to a huge city. There were many powerful divine beasts at the Beast God realm inside the city, which was one of the reasons why Beast Gods were suppressed back then. Amongst them, the dragon race was the most severely suppressed, and there were no longer any dragons left in the Beast Divine Palace. There was not much distance between him and the Beast Divine Palace at the top of the mountain. Soon, Chen Xiang arrived at the peak. Although the Beast Divine Palace was very big, not just anyone could enter there. Chen Xiang was also aware of this matter, and wanted to enter the Beast Divine Palace. However, he had a way to get in. This palace was like a city, and the center of the temple was surrounded by shops and street. If he wanted to get in, he would need to show his ident. 1 Thai card. The Beast Divine Palace was open to the other 2 shrines as well as to some sects here. He went to a small hut outside the gate and handed over his ident. 1 Thai plate by the window. This Beast Divine Palace is so complicated, looks like it's not easy to find you air. Walking on the wide street, Chen Xiang saw many birds and beasts. The most eye-catching person in front of him was a black-armored giant ape. It was like a small moving mountain as it walked quickly on the wide street. Behind him was a golden python that crawled forward, but when it said by him, that thick snake body was actually taller than him by a lot. Seeing the golden scales that were giving off a golden light, Chen Xiang could not help but take in a deep breath. This city was built for this kind of unshapeless and powerful behemoth, so the people and beasts walking on the streets were used to it. In any case, people would avoid these behemoths when they saw them. The management of the city was very strict. Although there were all kinds of giant strange beasts walking around, there were very few conflict. All the strange beasts here possessed intelligence. Although they could not change their shape, they possessed extremely high intelligence. How can I find you air? This was the problem Chen Xiang was facing. As soon as he entered the city, he had seen over 100 cats, most of them jumping on the rooftops on both sides of the road. They are coming up to the main hall. 1,000 Shin Yuan stone, and there are 20 more seats. Chen Xiang suddenly heard a low and rough voice from behind him. He turned his head to look, and almost cried out in fright. There was a white crocodile behind him, its head as big as a small house. Its body was very long, and its 4 thick and powerful legs could support its gigantic body covered in white scales. There was a row of seats on the back of the giant white crocodile, and there were dozens of people sitting on it. Although the giant white crocodile walked very fast and twisted its body, its back was very stable. Chen Xiang thought about it and walked over to ask, "How do I give it to you?" The giant alligator's huge round pearl moved, looked at Chen Xiang, and emitted a faint white light, looking somewhat scary. "Throw it into my mouth." The crocodile's mouth was wide open, revealing its teeth that shone with a cold light like a gigantic sharp sword. Chen Xiang took out 1,000 Shin Yuan stone and threw it over, piling up into a pile. The giant alligator ate the Shin Yuan stone and said, "You can come up now." Chen Xiang jumped up lightly and landed on the back of the giant alligator, praising the magic of Beast Divine Palace in his heart. He quickly discovered that these god beasts that could not transform into human forms were very intelligent. He even saw a few that could fly and run around with their people. These were all Shin Yuan stone-esque. The giant alligator he rode was extremely gentle. Its surname did not match its frightening and domineering appearance. "Human child, this is your first time coming to the Beast God Mountain, right?" the giant alligator asked. At this time, Chen Xiang was the only one on the giant alligator's back. On the road, many people had already come down. Their goal was not the Great Hall, but rather to see what they wanted to buy before leaving. "Yeah, it's amazing. I really want to stay here forever." Chen Xiang chuckled. "Being able to get along with a big guy like you is truly an interesting thing. If I meet a big guy like you outside, either he goes after me or I go after him, or we fight each other to the death." The giant alligator let out a loud boom laugh. "That's right, but such a thing wouldn't happen on the Beast God Mountain. The purpose that the Beast Divine Palace had set up back then was exactly as such. Actually, even if we're not fighting with humans outside, we would be fighting with the same kind of people. This is a very normal thing, so we can accept humans here," the white crocodile said.